and start with an announcement, which is about the Boulder Day of Remembrance. On March 22nd, 2021, Boulder lost 10 community members, including a Boulder police officer in a mass shooting. The City of Boulder remains committed to creating a space every year to honor and remember those who lost their lives that day and to offer support to all who need it. The community is invited to join the city, the District Attorney's Office, the Museum of Boulder, and Clinica Family Health and Wellness at this year's Day of Remembrance gathering and moment of silence. So that will be on March 22nd from 2 until 3:30 p.m. and the doors will open at 1:30 p.m. This will be at the Museum of Boulder at 2205 Broadway in Boulder, and the event is free and open to the public. And we will also have a declaration on this subject here in a minute as well. And with that, I will go ahead and call us to order for the Thursday, March 20th, 2025 regular meeting of the Boulder City Council. Elisha, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We'll start tonight's roll call as usual with Councilmember Adams.
Present.
Benjamin.
Present.
Mayor Brockett.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Folkerts.
Present.
Councilmember Marquis.
Present.
Shuhart.
Here.
Spear.
Present.
Wallach.
Here.
And Weiner.
Present.
Mayor, we have our quorum.
Thanks so much. Now I'm going to request a motion to amend the agenda to add one item, which is item 3J, which is a consideration of a motion to accept the findings of fact, conclusions, and recommendations of Special Counsel Stephanie Boster, Deputy City Attorney of the City of Fort Collins, finding that no violations occurred concerning the Code of Conduct complaint and amended complaint filed against Councilmember Taisha Adams.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. The agenda has been amended. Thank you for that. All right, well, our item 1A is the Boulder Day of Remembrance Declaration for the King Super Shooting that will be presented now by Council Member Weiner. Tara?
March 22nd, 2021 is a date that will be forever seared in the collective memory of our community. On that Monday afternoon, so many of us remember, a grievous atrocity was committed that will mark each of us for the rest of our lives, but none more so than the families and friends of the 10 people taken from us suddenly and violently, people going about their daily lives, doing their jobs, feeding their families, protecting one another. Our entire community joins those families and friends in saying the names of our neighbors taken from us before their time. Denny Stong, Nevin Stanisic, Ricky Olds, Trelona Barkowiak, Suzanne Fountain, Terry Leiker, Kevin Mahoney, Lynn Murray, Jody Waters, and Officer Eric Talley. It has been said that there are 3 deaths. The first is when the body ceases to function. The second is when the body is returned to the earth. And the third is that moment, sometime in the future, when the person's name is spoken for the very last time. Let us never allow this third death of our 10 fallen neighbors. Let us take the time to speak their names, celebrate their lives, mourn their passing. As long as we remember them, they will never truly die. And so, as our modest and humble gesture, the City Council of the City of Boulder declares that every year in perpetuity, March 22nd shall be designated the Boulder Day of Remembrance. On that day, every year, our community will pause and remember the 10 people who departed. On that day, every year, we will celebrate their lives. On that day, every year, we will say their names out loud so that in our hearts, they will live on. Signed, Mayor Aaron Brockett.
Thank you for that, Tara. And we look forward to seeing folks on Saturday for the Remembrance event at the museum. Okay, we are now going to proceed with open comment. So Elisha, if you could read the public participation guidelines, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Get those up on the screen. Good evening, everyone. I will now review the public participation at City Council meeting guidelines. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and council, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. For more information about this vision and the community engagement processes, we ask that you please visit our website at bouldercolorado.gov/services/productive-atmospheres. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their whole name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online. Only one person at a time at the podium, unless an accommodation like an interpreter is required. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No standing in or otherwise blocking the aisles. No participant shall stand or hold items such as signs or flags in a manner that would block the view of another person. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. We ask that you not affix items to the podium or dais or walls or other surfaces of the chamber. Signs, flags, or other items used to communicate must be held by one person when displayed. Obscenity, other epithets based on race, gender, or religion, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the meeting will not be tolerated. And lastly, in-person participants are asked to refrain from expressing support or disagreement verbally or with sounds such as applause or snapping, with the exception of declarations. Traditionally, support is shown through American Sign Language applause or jazz hands. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for that, Alicia. All right, each person will have 2 minutes to speak. I'll call 3 names at a time, and I will be strict about that time limit in the interest of fairness for everyone. So our first 3 in-person speakers are Stephen Hennessy, Rob Smoke, and Patty Fuster Aguilera. Can you get into that mic a little more there?
Dear members of City Council, hello, my name is Chip Hennessy, and I am a board member who is speaking on behalf of the Housing Advisory Board, HAB. HAB values our relationship with Council and appreciates your recent decision regarding housing policies. Starting today, a HAB member will report quarterly to Council on issues we are exploring and may recommend this year. Recently, HAB has organized 2 particularly interesting events. First, in fall 2024, HAB investigated housing solutions to homelessness. We convened a panel of homeless housing providers, including All Roads, EFA, BHP, and Bridge House, who shared their strategies and success stories. In addition, we had toured 2 projects, the Veterans Community Project, VCP, a tiny home community being built near Airport Road in Longmont, and Bluebird Permanently Supportive Housing, PSH, at 30th and Mapleton in Boulder. Second, in January 2025, our meeting explored the adaptive reuse of commercial spaces into a range of housing from transitional to market rate. Guest speakers included Phil Scholl and Gavin McMillan, who are working on a conversion now, and Pete Weber from Coburn, who is working with BHP on the geological building, as well as other projects with other developers. Future meetings are expected to focus on such topics as the missing middle and solutions to empty bedrooms. Are there any specific topics that City Council would like HAB to investigate and/or advise? Thank you for your leadership on housing policies.
Thank you. All right, our next 3 speakers are Rob Smoke, Patty Fuster Aguilera, and Evan Ravitz.
My name is Rob Smoke. I live in Boulder. I moved to Boulder in '86. I lived on the same I lived at the same address for 20 years in central Boulder. And while I was there, I became interested in issues involving traffic and traffic calming. And I wrote stuff that appeared in the newspaper about, in favor of things like traffic circles and speed bumps, with the idea being that it would make things safer for people generally. And after I did that, there was, it was prior to that, there was lots of support for changes that the city made to streets in certain areas, particularly with traffic circles. And eventually, within a year after they're being put in, somebody came up to me and said, "You killed my significant other person." And I was like, "How? How? Why? How? What?" And the traffic circle was unmanageable for a pedestrian in a car at a certain time in a certain place. So I'm sharing this story because I realize anything that comes before the city council could be not just quality of life, but also life and death. And I believe very much that the issues involving what's happening with Israel and Gaza right now are very much life and death for everyone here. Genocide is a crime against all of humanity, and we are part of humanity here in Boulder. So the crime is against us as well as against the people who are just trying to survive under impossible conditions in Gaza. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Patty Fuster Aguilera, Evan Ravitz, and Jude Landsman.
Hi, my name is Dr. Paddy Fuster Aguilera. On Monday, I was about to go to bed, and I heard the news of Israel breaking the ceasefire and violently carpet bombing Gaza again, and killing more than 400 people, mostly women and children. I saw images like this, and I couldn't stop crying, mostly because I don't know what we're not doing enough. You're doing nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing. All the opposite, you're making money out of this. You're making money out of this. It's just so shameful. You should be walking out of here and say you don't want to be part of this. You don't want to be part of anything that has to do with any kind of like governmental part of this country. I'm so ashamed to ever have gotten the citizenship of this country. They just kidnap people. They just kidnap Janet Vizguerra, somebody that is doing things for the community. And she's on the fucking ICE detention. What are you doing? You're not even speaking up. I can't do this anymore. Like, honestly, if you think that you're not agreeing with this, stand up and walk out of here. How can you be part of this? How can you be part of this? It's just so shameful.
No holding up of signs, and those include flags, please. Also, no obstructing of aisles. So we need the standing person to move out of the way.
Honestly, like that's what you're gonna say?
We're violating the fire code right now, which is unacceptable.
You're having people here.
Ma'am, I need you to sit down.
Either you're Zionists or you're
This
just
is the last
cowards.
warning before we have to recess the meeting. Okay. This is okay. All right, let's do a recess. And if we can't get quiet, we'll have to do another recess. So our next three speakers are, no, you're not, and we need quiet, right? We're moving on to the next speaker, who is Evan Ravitz. I need quiet now. This is a warning. Need quiet. His last warning.
Training ground for moral traitors. Real black leaders like James Baldwin, MLK, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Angela Davis, Nelson Mandela, Bishop Tutu, Toni
need
Morrison,
signs.
etc., have
Signs
always
not blocking.
supported Palestine against the Israeli invaders. Here we have Representative Joe Neguse, bought for $139,000 of AIPAC money, and City Council trained Junie Joseph, chairing the Defense Caucus at the Capitol. They're on the money escalator, while Taisha Adams, representing the majority and morality, gets investigated. We also have two apparent childhood victims of the Zionist cult, Counselors Wallach and Weiner. I pity them for being taught that Israel gets an exception to never again. Insanity in individuals is rare, but in groups it is the rule. As Israeli historian Ilan Pappé says, most Zionists don't believe in God, but they do believe that he promised them Palestine. I'd say the reason God hardly exists these days is because of perverted cults like Zionism. The atavistic desire to transfer the evil of the Holocaust onto Arabs is killing God and the United States, not just Arabs. As the son of a Holocaust refugee, I don't believe that my tribe, right or wrong, any more than I believed my country, right or wrong, when I refused to go to Vietnam in 1972. And then we have the good Germans who sit in council seats making their next political moves.
Time is up. Right. Our last two in-person speakers are Jude Landsman and Andrew Faulkner. We need to keep the signs at head level or below, not above the head, please. If we can have, we have a sign up in the front that is above head level. That is one of our rules. If you can bring that down, please. This is a warning that if you do not bring it down, we're going to need to recess the meeting so that we were in compliance with the rules. All right, with the sign still above your head, I'm going to call another recess. Okay. So we're back in. I'm going to gavel us back into session. But I just wanted to let folks know that we've cleared council chambers because of repeated violations of our rules of decorum, including speaking out of turn in the gallery and holding up signs that obstruct the view of the gallery. And in addition, I wanted to say, although it was not why we cleared chambers, how unacceptable I consider it to call Jewish members of our city council Nazis. And with that, we were going to our next speakers. Our next two are Jude Landsman and Andrew Faulkner. And I believe they will be testifying virtually.
Mayor, just a moment as we get the screens and it, as staff lets me know as we're moving forward. We're almost there.
Very good. My understanding. Okay, so our next two speakers are Jude Landsman, Andrew Faulkner, and then we have some virtual speakers who've come in person. After that will be Eric Gross and Laura Gonzalez. All right, so if we can have Jude Landsman, please. Okay, we had Jude Landsman next, but then Andrew Faulkner. This is Andrew. Jude's not present. Okay, so Andrew, then your turn is next.
Great. Okay. How about now? All right, great. Good evening. I'm Andrew Faulkner, Senior Director of Development with Biomed Realty. Our 1855 Flatiron Court project is on your agenda tonight for call-up consideration. The proposed development consists of 3 research and development buildings, totaling roughly 208,000 square feet. In all of our developments, Biomed takes the long-term view, listening to local needs and investing in the local ecosystem. We hope we've proven this commitment over the last 3 years, outside of our 1855, through the many interactions and initiatives we've undertaken. To list a few examples, we voluntarily renovated 2100 into a vibrant 1,500,000 square foot amenity, adding mixed use activation to Flatiron Park. This amenity, East & Co., will include a market hall, restaurant, bar, and outdoor park for all open to the public. We formed a partnership with CU Boulder to support the next 100 years of quantum technologies in Flatiron Park. We launched Velocity Labs, a platform with move-in ready infrastructure for research startups coming out of the university. We completed 5505 Central, Flatiron Park's first purpose-built R&D building, a project which we also voluntarily upgraded to LEED Gold. To enhance alternative transportation methods, we're also adding 3 new B-cycle stations to Flatiron Park this year, and we're working with consultants to expand bike lanes in Flatiron Park. We're also contracting with car share companies to add numerous vehicles to the area. Finally, to enhance sustainability in the park, we've initiated a partnership with Butterfly Pavilion to protect and enhance biodiversity in Flatiron Park. We're kicking off several projects with them this year. We believe 1855 embodies these same principles, continuing our commitment to both invest in Boulder's incredible innovation ecosystem and thoughtfully address the city's needs. We are respectfully requesting City Council call up our 1855 Flatiron project tonight so we can further
time
this
is up, but
commitment.
thank you. Okay, our next two speakers are Eric Gross and then Laura Gonzalez, and then we'll go to our virtual speakers.
want to show this to all of you, but now I feel I have to. So, sometimes people ask, what radicalized you? This is one of the things. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it at all. This is a human being with zip tie on their hand, which means that they were being held at some point. That was crushed either by a tank or a bulldozer in Gaza on February 29th, 2024, a little over a year ago. And I can't get it out of my head ever. There's only one place on the internet that even still allows this to be shown without it being blurred. And I don't know because there's no investigations allowed, but it could be that the money that either is invested or goes to Caterpillar from here is directly responsible for this. We'll never know who it was or if they did anything wrong, but a few months after this, multiple news outlets, including CNN, confirmed that it happened, and they interviewed someone who said that this was done to at least dozens of people, some alive. So you can't look at this and not feel it. It's not something, there are people here who they refused to even look. And that's the problem. You can't not look. You have to be able to look. You have to be willing to see that there's not one side to this. I had other things I wanted to read, but I guess I'm done.
Thank you. Now we have Lara Gonzalez, and then we'll go virtual to Lynn Siegel and Sharon Flynn.
Again, I am not here to ask you for anything. I'm actually here trying to look at the camera and make sure that the grandchildren and the descendants of Tara Weiner and Mark Wallach and every single person that comes out of them know where they stood today during the current Holocaust that is happening today. With our tax dollars or support into Caterpillar, we're investing into them. And even though we keep asking, not only do they not remain silent, but they actually make rules to silence us. Because when there were Nazis here, what did they do? They allowed the flags to cover our faces. They could bring all the messages, disgusting messages that almost 100,000 people that have been murdered by Israel are all Hamas, when that is not true. But you know what, something I know? A Zionist is a Nazi, or even worse. And the funny thing about the Boulder City Council, which is almost full of settlers, they stood for apartheid for South Africa, but they don't stand for apartheid in Palestine. How funny is that? Today, Nazi Tara Weiner reads a declaration about the murder of what happened in King Soopers because of the guns, but yet she is happy sending more guns to the settler colony of the state of Israel, which, by the way, should not exist because it's not real, you know? And these are the pictures that you need to look deep into. Not only did Janet Vizguerra get deported, and I know you know Janet Brockett, but it was only to your convenience to know her to get you elected. You sold your soul way too quick, man. Way too quick. What a shame. Taisha Adams, I am so sorry for the misogynoir that you're experiencing in this council. I really, really am. I stand with you in solidarity. because what you're going through is misogynoir to the full.
Your time is up. Your time is up.
Continue fighting. We are with
Your
you.
time is up.
And I just want to say that I don't give a fuck about the time. I don't give a fuck about your rules.
Okay.
I don't
We're
give
going
a
to have
fuck.
to call another recess if you're not staying quiet. Here's the warning. All right, we're calling another recess.
You continue to genocide my people. You continue to fucking invest in a genocide in Palestine with your tax dollars. Like.
To order. We have two remaining open comment speakers who are both virtual. They are Lynn Siegel and then Sharon Flynn.
My sentiments are exactly the same as the last speaker. She couldn't have said it better. Did you know that it was not 413 people killed in Gaza? It was 710 killed since the break of day today. That might be in addition to the 413 on Monday or Tuesday. This is an existential dilemma for me in Boulder. It's a big deal. Today, a postdoc in peace and conflict studies in Georgetown University, his visa was revoked. Badar Khan Suri. His wife, Mafiz Saleh, is the daughter of a former U.S. and she's she's the daughter of a former U.S. citizen from Palestine. She is a citizen of the United States. Georgetown University also, and they experienced online attacks from Zionists.
Thank you for your testimony. Oh, sorry, you get an extra minute. We had an error with the timer. One more minute. Is she unmuted?
I had to unmute again. Could I have my 10 seconds back, please?
Let's go back to a minute.
Yeah. Her dad was his wife, this peace and conflict studies postdoc. His wife, she's the daughter of a guy who did political advisory to Hamas. You know, I see commonly it's addressed as Israel versus Hamas. No, it's not. It's Israel versus Palestine, or it's IDF versus Hamas. This is a war, and it's conducted by militarists on either side. I wanted to say also that, let's see, so many things to say. All of Palestine is being divided up now, and it's just unspeakable what's happening there. And it affects us directly. And don't you forget it for an instant.
Your time is up. Our last speaker is Sharon Flynn.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sharon Flynn, and I live in Boulder. First, thank you to Ms. Johnson for moving me to this remote slot this evening as I came down for a cold. As it turns out, it's probably better that I'm remote anyway. I'm speaking today to request that the council hold a study session on proportional representation in city council elections. Proportional representation is a widely used electoral system that ensures candidates and parties earn seats in proportion to how many people vote for them. So for example, a group comprising 40% of the electorate would win 40% of the seats. It's a system especially designed for electing multi-member bodies like the City Council of Boulder. I returned to Boulder a couple of years ago after 5 years living and working in Australia and New Zealand, where proportional representation is widely used. In fact, New Zealand in the early 90s switched to proportional representation for their parliament in response to polarization driven by the dominance of two political parties. I have seen firsthand that proportional representation makes for better participation of citizens in government. It means more voices at the table, and more voices make for better choices. Proportional representation for Boulder would mean a city council making decisions with the input of a broader segment of the electorate, creating a better chance for discussion and compromise. I'm also a member of the Boulder County League of Women Voters. Every year for the past 5 years, the League has requested that the council learn about proportional representation. I believe someone who was just in the chamber should have left behind a petition signed by nearly 600 Boulder residents asking the council to hold a study session on proportional representation. I look forward to the council scheduling this session soon, and thank you for the chance to speak.
Thank you. All right, that's our final speaker. So that brings open comment to a close. I'll turn to city staff to see if Nuria or Teresa have any responses.
Thank you, Mayor. None at this time. Thank you. No response from me, Mayor.
Okay, thanks very much. Alicia, can we go to the consent agenda, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Our consent agenda is item 3 on tonight's agenda, and it consists of items 3A through 3J.
Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Mark?
Yeah, I have both questions and comments with respect to the financing proposals for Alpine Balsam. I understood that staff was prepared to address some of these issues. My concern is that we are moving ahead with a financing that is 1.5 times the size of CU South without any discussion or information provided to the community as to what we are doing, how we are doing it, and why we are doing it in this particular fashion. So I do not request a hearing. I don't want to pull it from the consent agenda, but I'm hoping we can get some further information today. And if I have any questions after that, I'll ask them.
I see we have somebody who has stepped forward. If you could
We do
introduce
indeed,
yourself,
Mayor.
please.
Our interim director, our CFO, Joel, is certainly here to answer any questions in his own amazing way.
Do my best. Good evening, Council. Joel Wagner, Interim Chief Financial Officer. And as Councilmember Wallach mentioned, Council agenda
Joel,
items.
can you pull that mic a little bit closer
I'm
to you,
sorry.
please?
This is not a mic that's built for my height, so I'm going to do what my mom told me never to do and slouch. Council agenda items 3A, 3E, and 3F tonight relate to the issuance of $100 million in certificates of participation to fund the renovations of the city pavilion portion of the Western City Campus redevelopment project. So this project has been nearly a decade in planning since the 2015 acquisition of the old Boulder Community Hospital site on Broadway between Alpine and Balsam. Tonight is the final administrative step in that long process that started with that 2015 acquisition, included several council check-ins in 2017 for the area plan adoption, or I'm sorry, for the vision plan in 2017, adoption of the area plan in 2019. The site review approval in October of last year between a joint session of council and planning board, and the approval of the project budget in the 2025 capital improvement program and 2025 annual budget. A few specific points. As I mentioned, we will be using certificates of participation for this project. These have been around in the state of Colorado since about the 1980s. They work particularly well when there is collateral for the project. We use them rather sparingly. Last time we used them was in 2019 for the fiber backbone project, which interestingly we'll be hearing from our colleagues in innovation and technology about tonight for the final operationalization of that one. That's a tongue twister for me tonight. And as I mentioned, the pavilion building itself will be the source of collateral for these COPs tonight. We're also utilizing the Boulder Municipal Property Authority, or BUMPA, to facilitate the issuance of the COPs this evening. BUMPA was formed in 1998 as a Colorado nonprofit corporation to facilitate the purchase and property for the city of Boulder and facilitate issuance of certificates of participation for projects like this. Much like the improvement districts or some of the other districts that council is the board of that district, council is the board of BUMPA. And then over, let's see, last couple points, as Joe Tadeucci, our much more eloquent speaker a couple weeks ago described, we are issuing this debt under a single emergency ordinance tonight, as opposed to our older process of a resolution and then an emergency ordinance at sale. A couple of reasons. Well, there's also an emergency ordinance appropriating $100 million for the debt for the budget for 2025 as well. And as you have no doubt heard, there is a significant amount of uncertainty in the market right now when it comes to construction projects and the effects of tariffs. So as soon as we're able to issue or approve the debt and issue the debt, we'll be able to enter into a contract with our contractor and lock in a final price for this project. So with that, let's see if there are any questions I didn't answer.
I do have a couple, if I may.
And I will say I'm joined by Charlotte Husky, our budget officer, and Michelle Crane, our deputy director for facilities and fleet. So we have a crack team behind me here as well.
The $100 million, is that based on construction documents? Is it based on a formal bid by the contractor? How did we come to the 100?
Yeah. Michelle, do you want to?
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Council. Michelle Crane with Facilities and Fleet. The $100 million right now is based on price from a contractor. We've been under contract with Saunders Construction. We went out for competitive bid with them last year, and they've actually been helping us develop the final stages of the project. So we're in for building permits, and so those prices are really like 95% construction documents.
With the prices of construction rising rapidly, what's our protection against overruns on this?
So right now, because our contractor has been part of that construction team, really dialing in the details actually, we are about 95% certain and have worked with subcontractors on solidifying prices. There is some urgency given the situation with the tariffs. The quicker we can enter into contracts and actually sign those agreements, they're there to lock in prices. So we've been working directly with subcontractors to lock in these prices and dial in these details.
Construction contracts typically have a contingency line. What's our contingency here?
We have a 5% contingency in the construction and a 3% buyout contingency.
That's pretty tight.
Well, I think part of that dialing it in, we had a much larger contingency, and we do that typically through the construction process. So early in design, you hold a much larger contingency, and it narrows as we go down. Since we've been working the past several months, we've been able to kind of zero that in. But we actually hope that as we move quickly on this, we can actually relieve some of our buyout contingency and just push it into the construction contingency.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here and thanks for those answers. Anything else from anybody on the consent agenda? Perhaps a motion.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Elisha, can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll start the roll call for the consent agenda items 3A through 3J tonight with Councilmember Spear.
Yes.
Wallach.
Aye.
Weiner.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Mayor Bronkett.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Folkerts.
Yes.
Councilmember Marquis.
Yes.
And Shuhart.
Yes.
The consent agenda items 3A through 3J are hereby approved unanimously.
Thanks so much. Can we go to our call-up check-in, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Our call-up check-in tonight is item 4A, and it is the consideration of a site review for the redevelopment of a 9.87-acre site at 1855 Flatiron Court with 3 research and development buildings totaling 208,818 square feet. The proposal includes a request for a height modification to allow for 2 3-story buildings up to 50 feet in height and 1 3-story building up to 45 feet in height, a request for a 25% parking reduction, and a modification to site access control to allow for 2 access points. The applicant has requested vested rights, and this is reviewed under case number LUR 2024-00036.
Thanks for that. Any questions or comments or interest in calling this one up? We got Tina.
I move to call it up.
Do we have a second? That was a second from Councilmember Wallach. Tina, did you want to speak briefly to your desire to call that up?
I think because of some of the ambiguity in the planning board, that it makes sense to call it up and take a look at the project.
Good enough. I don't know that we need any more discussion, maybe just a vote. This is a show of hands. What?
You say it. You go first.
Yeah, no, I think with regards to the call up, I think this is an instance where I think there's a clear misunderstanding of how we're on the site review and the process in which we go through that. Looking at how we look at zoning, land use, the comp plan, and the sub-community and area plans, I think it's critical that we provide some clear understanding and guidance to the process and the planning board. And I think as the sort of last leg of any sort of project in a quasi-judicial process, I think it's important for us to weigh in and provide some clarity. So not only this project, but others have clarity going forward.
Mark?
Yeah, I want to agree with everything that my colleague just said. I think in this example, and I hope it doesn't happen often, that the planning board got a little far out on its skis, and they didn't quite understand what we were looking for, and they didn't understand the process that we should be going through with respect to a project like this. And I don't think doing site review, although it provides for the planning board to look to compliance with sub-community plans, I don't think it meant carte blanche to, in effect, restructure the project in their lights. And so I think this is an opportunity for us to call it up and basically correct what I believe to be an error on the part of planning board.
And I got Lauren, and then maybe we can move to vote.
So outside of whether or not we call this up, I have heard some concern about some interpretation of a particular piece of I have heard an interest in discussing how area plans and site planning work together that maybe we could discuss as a council or clarify from a code perspective. Anyway, that's something I would be interested in having staff bring forward to us.
Thanks for that. There would probably be a CAC request to move that concept forward.
Certainly, and perhaps maybe an initial conversation just to make sure it is not something that staff is currently working on or something that we can do in a different way, but happy to follow up with that.
Okay, great. I'll just call myself and just agree with what my colleagues have said and look forward to calling this up. And of course, we'll be evaluating the project against the site review criteria when we do. If we do, seeing how this vote goes. So all in favor of the motion at hand to call this up, please raise your hand. I got 9. All right, we're calling this guy up. Thanks for that. And if we can go to our first public hearing, please.
All right, sir, thank you. Our public hearings are item 5 on tonight's agenda. 5A is the second reading and consideration of a motion to adopt ordinance 8688 granting a franchise by the city of Boulder, Colorado to Allo Communications LLC, its successors, and assigns pursuant to Chapter 6 of the Boulder Cable Code BRC 1981 and Allo Communications LLC franchise application to furnish cable television services within the identified franchise areas of the city and to all persons, businesses, and industries within the franchise area, and the right to acquire, construct, install, locate, maintain, operate, and extend into, within, and through said franchise areas of the city, all facilities reasonably necessary to furnish cable television services within the franchise areas of the city, and the right to make reasonable use of all streets and other public spaces and public easements as herein defined as may be necessary for the benefit of the city of Boulder, and fixing the terms and conditions thereof, and setting forth related details.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. That was a mouthful. So I'm going to pass this on to our Chief Policy Advisor, Carl Castillo, but I just want to say I appreciate not just his working on this, but so many folks in IT, Mike Giasanti, I see you there, Don Mulvey, and certainly Andy Froedhart from City Attorney's Office, who's been really supportive as we have been doing this. So Carl, pass it on to you.
Thank you, Nuria. Good evening, council members. We're going to hopefully get through this fairly quickly because I think we just spoke about franchise agreements a few weeks ago, so I think that's fresh on your mind. I do have a brief PowerPoint slide, though. I will mention that, as Nuria said, Andy Froedhart is here. We have some members from our IT staff, and we have our guests from ALLO, who many of you have come here from Nebraska. And we also have at least one member who's online, so if there's questions, we might ask Andrew to jump in as well. Let's see here. Okay, so very briefly, this is mostly for the sake of our public, a brief reminder of what a cable franchise agreement is. Federal law allows local governments to require a franchise agreement of providers of cable video service, and that term is essentially referring to delivery of multiple channels of video content through a cable network using public right-of-way. So currently that's Comcast. The proposal here is to for ALLO to provide that. The scope of the franchise agreement is very limited according to federal law. It includes, and I'm talking about generally speaking, what a franchise agreement includes. It is relates to customer service standards such as signals quality, responses to customer complaints and billing practices, technical standards, the franchise fees that must be paid to the city, PEG access channels that must be provided, and fees, and of course the right to use the public rights of way with construction and maintenance standards detailed. It's very important to remember that when we're talking about cable franchise agreements, this is not a exclusive franchise agreement, unlike some of our other franchises. Obviously, that's why we're talking about having a second provider here. And also, there are a lot of things that are outside the scope of what the city can regulate when they approve a cable franchise agreement. So it cannot regulate the rates, the programming, or other telecommunications services. So with that, I'll go to the next slide here. And my apologies here. I'm not getting the full screen on my side, so it's a little hard for me to. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so in January, the city entered into a 20-year agreement with ALLO to lease the city's dark fiber backbone in exchange for a commitment to deliver retail broadband services with certain financial and non-financial parameters that were detailed. Since then, ALLO submitted a cable franchise agreement application on February 18th, and the parties have negotiated an agreement that is nearly identical to the one that the city previously entered into with Comcast, and that's important because that's actually a requirement that we can't have substantive differences in our franchise agreements. In terms of what are the criteria that council and the city is asked to look at to determine whether or not to approve this application, they are listed here as A through G: compliance with law, quality of service, qualifications, minimum requirements, the public education and government channels, public interest, and competition. I will merely refer to the memo with a detailed staff's recommendation why we think the applicant has met all of these criteria. We also have ALLO, and I think some of their presentation will go towards these issues as well. So that'll finish my comments. I will now, I believe, turn it over to Mr. Moline, who is both the founder and the CEO of ALLO, and I think he's got a slide deck that he's going to work through. And Brad, I'm going to run it through for you, so just let me know when you want to go.
Say next slide.
That works.
You can
press the button.
Oops, there.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, I'm supposed to be good technologically, and I may have just failed my first test here. One, thank you to Mayor, City Council, the Boulder staff, and city representatives. this has been a long process, but it's been productive and good. And I think just from a personal point of view, it's you're led by professionals, and I thank you so much for that. I'll move real fast through this. Please stop me. And if along the way anybody has any questions. So if you go to the next slide. Who is Allo? We're a fiber to the prem provider. Now what that really means, you'll notice I said fiber to the premise, not fiber to the home. Business, governmental, residential, low income, high income, the whole community, which is one of the requirements of the process from the city of Boulder. The nice thing is that's one of the requirements from Allo as well, is we do ubiquitous builds. We've been doing it since 2003. We've never owned copper. We've never owned coax. And we work together with our investors as well as the communities to develop our networks. From our start in western Nebraska, now today we pass 1.3 million in populations across Nebraska, Colorado, Arizona, Kansas, and Missouri, and are continuing to grow every day. Next slide. Honest, exceptional, local, hassle-free. Those are our 4 values. Last time I was here, I talked about those. I'll only highlight a couple of them. One is to be local, to be here. Our flagship market is Lincoln, Nebraska. I actually live 2 hours closer to Boulder than I do Lincoln, Nebraska, and so ask me to be here, I'll be here. Ask our team to participate, to work through solutions with the city. That's our goal. Others to be hassle-free. That's a tough one. The construction process is very intense. It's we're going behind every business, governmental entity, and household, and so that's that we do our best to inform the society, inform the city, all the residents, and then meet our commitments. We do that through honesty and also exceptional performance. Next slide, please. We have about 2,000 employees. Half of them are in construction. The other half are in supporting customers and getting customers. We're adding customers at a very rapid pace. Not only is specifically we're here to talk about video today, but all of our products are growing very rapidly, driven primarily by broadband. I saw an assistant who updated this slide. Current communities 25. Yes, there's edge outs. Boulder will have those. Other communities in Colorado have them. A small little development outside may not have been annexed yet. Is 25, and as I mentioned, Lincoln, Nebraska is our largest at 295,000 population. We get a lot of awards. But the biggest award is our low churn, and that we take care of customers and earn them every day. Next slide, please. Let's skip this slide. Here's some of those awards that the communities provide us with. Next slide. We're recognized nationally. We're generally considered one of the top 5 internet providers in the country, and our video services are compete very favorably with both streaming and other fixed wireline cable systems. Next slide. There's our locations. It's very important for us to develop regions, and so not only will we be in Boulder, but we're also in many surrounding communities, and we'll be announcing many more shortly. Next slide, please. We offer internet, TV, and phone. We are a telephone provider. You get to keep your same number and those types of things, and there's a whole separate side of the world that regulates our telephone services, but we take it seriously. We don't offer 911, but we obviously, if a customer dials 911, we hit the 911 centers. Next slide. Business is the same way, with Wi-Fi, internet, business phone services. And actually one of our fastest growing areas is cyber protection for both the home and the residents, or home and the business. And we enjoyed a meeting today talking about the quantum projects, and that's where cyber is going as well. So we hope to participate in that. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oops. Wow. Student housing, MDUs, most people call those apartments or condo associations. We participate with them with a full service offering as well. It's more and more important, in our larger communities that have large universities, making sure that everybody participates in the ecosystem. Next slide. That ties into also a smart life. This allows connectivity to our systems and our services via Wi-Fi that's offered throughout the communities. On the first year or two, that won't be a significant impact for the city of Boulder, but in years 3, 4, and 5, as we get market share, it becomes very powerful, so that students, if their home doesn't have internet, their Chromebook can be authenticated so that they can get Wi-Fi so they can learn. A lot of other people with either challenges of operating computers or financial challenges are also supported in that manner. And then the other side is the general population can move about the community and continue to connect. It's really, we launched it about a year and a half ago, and it's just now taking off, and it's a wonderful situation. And obviously you can get your video, whether it's streaming or through our online portals, that way as well. Next slide, please. Net Promoter Score, that's the most important, one of the most important things. We try to maintain a very high Net Promoter Score, which basically says our customers like doing business with us. It's vital to how we do business. It's our scorecard, and we pay attention to it. Next slide. We're a proven partner. Going back to that Net Promoter, if we don't take care of the build and take care on every product and offer it at a fair price, that Net Promoter Score starts to drop. And that's what we're here to do. Is I used the term earlier today at a presentation that your community, as we get all our approvals and start working on this project, it becomes our community too. There'll be a 2 to 3 year construction process, but then we'll be supporting you for 50 plus years. We've already been in some of our communities more than 20 years. So we look forward to whatever happens. One of the most interesting thing is cable TV. When we started cable TV, 80% of our customers bought it. And today about a fourth do. They stream and get content from other places. We will continue to evolve and make sure that we compete for customers just as the incumbents do, but that we invest properly so that Boulder stays on the leading edge of connectivity for the next 50 years. Other questions for me? Yes.
Yeah,
Mayor.
thanks for the presentation, Brad. Appreciate it. So I'll now turn to council. Do we have any clarifying questions for the ALLO team or for our city staff team? Matt?
Well, thank you for being here. Again, it's good to see you again, and really appreciate the opportunity. And I'll save some more comments later towards the end. But my question really centers around, given the mandate that we've got from voters to do this, and certainly the extensive work that staff has done in partnership with you guys to develop this, it really centers around how are we best positioned, and this may be more of a question for staff, to streamline the implementation of this. And really, I'm concerned about any local regulatory hurdles or roadblocks that we may know exist in terms of being able to achieve this, or we might not know until we get there. And really, I want to understand, how are we centered to expeditiously remedy those roadblocks? Because I really want to make sure that the ability for Allo to implement not only what's in the contract, but the vision that you have and our community has for how this comes together is really predicated on us minimizing those roadblocks and making sure we get to the final outcome of providing great quality service to our residents as fast as possible. So I just want to make sure in many ways we're not in our own way in achieving that. So my question is to sort of generally staff, how are we prepared to minimize those roadblocks? Do we see any? And is there a path to expeditiously remedying those?
I can speak to that. Assistant City Attorney Indy Froer. There's been a lot of discussions internally about what this means for the community, just in terms of expediting construction and trying to reduce the impact on the public, traffic control management, things of that nature. There's the city's core team has staffed up, and we've been discussing how we can implement this in a way that's efficient. So that is top of mind, and I know there's already weekly meetings that we're having with Allo that surround these very discussions. So I'm not sure if there's any additional context I can provide at this point, but it is top of mind for everyone.
I'll just add, and thank you so much for that, Andy, that to your point, there has been a multidisciplinary team that has been doing this. And again, I thank Mike Giasanti and IT, our deputy director, who's been really at the forefront of this, along with our team gathering this project. So folks from utilities, folks from legal, folks from PNDS, folks from all across the organization have been meeting quite extensively to do precisely that, to make sure that we are prepared to communicate, to streamline, to accelerate as much as we can. And so I just thank the staff team who's really been working hard on this.
Yeah, and from Allo's point of view, we look at it, the early returns are very positive. And that doesn't mean Allo gets special services or special things. It's a very large project, and there's certain commitments we've made related to the project. But the number one thing is safety and protection of land and individuals. And so we'll develop that collaboratively as we go through. You know, one of the number one things is always permitting. What is the right pace so that the city is comfortable, because it's the city's responsibility to provide protection to the citizens and the businesses and the other investments in the area, and marry that with the need for a reasonably fast or appropriately paced, I guess would be the best term, project. And having done this, God, it's hard to say, for almost a quarter century, each community develops a pace. And the initial pace, everybody's figuring out how to work together. Then it gets to a point that's the right pace for the community. I can't predict that at this point, but the one thing that the professionalism that both sides are developing, it appears that we'll have a successful project. But you know, it used to be, I guess, you know, it's just a few years ago, product inventory was hard to come by. Well, now that's very available. And so the controls will be related to permitting, closing permits, getting the next ones approved, how many can be worked at a single point in time, how can we make sure that traffic is safe and the like. And there'll be some learning points, but I'm quite confident this will be extremely successful.
Great. Other questions? Taisha.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had a question about, so obviously we just had our conversation with Excel about the partnership, and one of the components was undergrounding. And so I was just kind of curious, in the company values, you talked about local and community. And I just want to lift up, in addition to human beings, we also have other community members like wildlife, et cetera. And so, although I appreciate an effort for good conditions, I'm curious if there's opportunities to coordinate with Excel or others that are doing any kind of destruction or excavation. Again, they're going to the same places. I don't know the science of this, but I would be curious if you all have experience or background in that kind of company to company partnership. Thank you.
Yeah, Excel, we've done several projects with them, being co-utilities. Our pace obviously is at a different pace than theirs in undergrounding and those types of things. But the use of joint trench whenever possible is very valuable. It's usually used in new developments, so that there's a dig once, do it before the cement's put in or the street is put in. But we've got a great working relationship. It starts with safety. They have power. We're going alongside their power in many cases, and we work very well together. And when available, obviously we want to use that same trench, and it makes it less expensive for both of us. And you're not having to go next to or beside power or water or those types of things. And so we enjoy that relationship.
I see. Oh, there you come, Don.
Hi, Don Mulvey, Deputy Director of IT. So I wanted to give you an example. We are working right now with Allo with the Chautauqua Cottage leasehold area. And so we were working there with Excel, and they have partnered on that project so that we are not going back and digging up later, since we're working on it now. So that has begun.
It's great to hear. All right. I don't see any other hands raised, so we will go ahead and go to the public hearing. And we have one person signed up to speak, Lynn Siegel, and they will get 3 minutes.
Mayor, I do not see Lynn Siegel online tonight.
In that case, I will close the public hearing, and I will take it back to council for a discussion and a potential motion. Who wants to get us started? Matt. That was a hand raised, right?
Yes.
I saw you going for the button.
I was. Let's see. Where's my motion language? Do we have that up there? I can try to find it in here.
Do you want to throw in a comment while we're looking for motion language?
So again, I just want to say thank you for the inclusion of the environmental sections in the compliance section. And I'm just hopeful that we can be an example of what great looks like and not just what good looks like. So, and it's wonderful to hear that we already have that kind of relationship with Excel and others, but this is good to great time. And so I'm really grateful for all that you've shared. But I am willing to continue to work with everyone to make sure that we're continuing to elevate as much as we can. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And also just on the waste management component as well. Just wanted to thank you for thinking of not only the waste of the project, but the end of life for the cables themselves and just your selection of things. I just really wanted to say thank you for the due diligence around the environmental components. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Taisha. Matt, you got that motion ready to go?
I do. Good thing we have our own laptops. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to adopt Ordinance 8688, granting a franchise by the City of Boulder, Colorado to Allo Communications LLC, its successors, and assigns pursuant to Chapter 6 Boulder Cable Code, BRC 1981, and Allo Communications LLC's franchise application to furnish cable television services within the identified franchise areas of the city and to all persons, businesses, and industries within the franchise areas, and the right to acquire, construct, install, locate, maintain, operate, and extend into, within, and through said franchise areas of the city, all facilities reasonably necessary to furnish cable television services within the franchise area of the city, and the right to make reasonable use of all streets and other public places and public easements as herein defined as to be necessary for the benefit of the City of Boulder, and fixing the terms and conditions thereof, and setting forth related details. Longest sentence ever.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that the first time. Do we have a second? All right, got a second there. Matt, did you want to speak to your motion?
If I get over that long run-on sentence. So for one, I sort of prefaced this early on. I think this is a long time coming. The voters said, please go forth and do this, and we were trying to find a way to economically and feasibly make this happen. It's a long time coming, but it's great to see that through this public-private partnership, we're actually able to make this will of the voters come through and really bring about some options and more choice to people in our community. And I think more choice is always a good thing, especially when you see those scores up there, as you showed. I think our residents will be happy to see that that choice brings about perhaps some better service. So we love the opportunity for that. And it's just always good to be able to fulfill the will of the voters, and it looks like we have a great partner. So looking forward to seeing how this all comes to fruition. Really appreciate the great work and collaboration between staff and ALLO and everybody else. So thank you for that.
Thanks. Did you want to speak to it? Well said. Well said. Any other comments before we go to a vote? Seeing none, Elisha, can we do a roll call, please?
We certainly can, sir. We'll start the night's roll call for the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 8688 with Councilmember Wallach.
Aye.
Weiner.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Mayor Brockett.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Folkerts.
Yes.
Councilmember Marquis.
Yes.
Shuhard.
Yes.
And Spear.
Yes.
Ordinance 8688 is hereby adopted unanimously.
Very good. Well, congratulations. And we're just so excited to have you introduce that new service to Boulder. So appreciate you coming here from your home cities, and also for having a good local partner here as well, helping you out. So look forward to the next steps. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks, Carl and Andy. With that, let's go to our final public hearing, please.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to talk slow so John can transition. But tonight's second public hearing is item 5B, and it is the consideration of a motion to approve the 2025 boards and commission appointments.
And with that, Mayor, we've got a great team here from our city clerk's office who is actually going to take that right back. So I send that over to our own Miss Elisha Johnson.
Thank you, Nuria. As always, you're so gracious. I'm going to give John a couple of minutes to pull up the slide. But tonight, Council Elisha Johnson, serving you and the city as your city clerk and records manager, we will go through the 2025 boards and commissions nominations and then eventually appointments. So before we begin the process of nominating and appointing board and commission candidates to fill our current vacancies, I'm going to provide an outline of our process for this item. There are 2 steps. First, I will present a slide of the number of seats that were vacant, the number of applications received, along with the number of eligible candidates. The second step will be, I will ask the mayor to open our public hearing, close it when it's completed, and turn the discussion back to me to provide council with guidance on how the nomination and appointment process will proceed. John, now if you would please advance to the next slide. As you can see, for our 2025 application summary, we had 36 vacancies throughout our boards, and we had 122 applications that were received. And we also want to note that we had 85 eligible applicants that we processed. Now, 2 boards, the Chautauqua Association and the Downtown Management Commission, were not receiving applications at this time because there was no vacancies. Now, I will turn it over to the mayor to open and close the public hearing at this time.
All right, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. We have 3 speakers, each of whom will have 3 minutes to speak. And those 3 speakers in order are Lynn Siegel, Aiden Cook, and Daniela Withar.
Mayor, I do not see Lynn online tonight.
All right, let's go to Aiden then.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Aiden Cook. I'm a lifelong resident of Boulder. I'm asking the council tonight to just consider and put a little bit of weight on animal welfare in board appointments tonight. I so appreciate Councilwoman Adams reminding us that wildlife are important members of our community, and our policy choices also affect non-human community members beyond our borders. So despite Boulder's environmental leadership, there's a bit of a gap in our policies regarding farmed animal welfare. Obviously, animals endure intensive suffering, yet receive essentially no government protections currently. There have been some great discussions starting and emanating from some of the advisory boards. For instance, considering asking the council to implement humane food procurement guidelines for the city's facilities and events, which would, of course, be a win for our climate goals as well. Just hopeful that appointees chosen tonight will carry those conversations forward. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Daniela Withar.
Good evening. My name is Daniela Withar, and I've lived in Boulder since 2016. I'm a member of Pro Animal Future. We're a coalition of voters and volunteers advocating for stronger laws to protect animals from some of the worst forms of cruelty. And that's why I'm here tonight, to urge you to consider the interests of animals in our city's policies. While boards and commissions address really critical issues like sustainability, planning, and public health, I believe the voices and needs of non-human animals are often left out of the conversation. Yet animals, both wild and domestic, are directly impacted by our city's decisions, just like we are as residents of Boulder. From wildlife management policies to regulations on companion animals like cats and dogs, their welfare is intertwined with our environmental and social goals. I was really encouraged to see that at least one candidate for the Environmental Advisory Board highlighted animal welfare in their application. It's a perspective that I think deserves a lot more attention in Boulder's policymaking, and I really hope that you'll consider it moving forward. Thank you so much for everyone's time and consideration.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of our speakers. So I will close open comment and turn it back to John. Are you going to run us through the slides? Or Alicia, you're the master of ceremonies.
Yes, I am. Thank you, sir. So at this time, I want to just outline the instructions that we will follow for the nomination and appointment procedure. Please be reminded that this procedure is also outlined in our Boulder Revised Code and in your agenda materials. We will proceed through nominations, one board or commission at a time in alphabetical order by board title. We will ask council members to make nominations to fill vacancies one seat at a time. Once nominations for the seat have been made by council members, council is welcome to discuss with each other before making final action. If one person is nominated for a seat, that appointment will stand if there are no objections. If more than one person is nominated for the same seat, we have a specific process for narrowing the candidates down to one finalist. A vote of support will be held for each individual that is nominated. Now, candidates must receive a minimum of 5 votes to be declared the finalists for a vacant seat. If the first round of voting does not produce a clear winner, the candidate with the fewest votes will drop from the nominee list and the vote will be conducted again. This continues until a single nominee remains. The order of nominees will be called either alphabetically or reverse alphabetically by last name of the nominees, depending upon a flip of my coin. From that point on, I will alternate the order for all further nominee votes during this meeting where more than one candidate has been nominated. If a person is not selected for the first seat they are nominated for, they can be nominated for one of the other available seats on that board or commission, or for another board or commission seat they apply to. This process is followed for each board or commission. Now, once council has determined a single appointed candidate for each seat, staff will request the consideration of a motion to approve the 2025 boards and commission appointments as noted. And this item will conclude for the evening. Now, for it to be noted, I am assisted by my elections administrator, John Morris, and he will keep track visually of the nominations and appointments via the screens. Nominated candidates will be highlighted as they are nominated, and those nominated will be noted in red font. Mayor, I turn the meeting back to you, and John and I are here to support this process as it continues. John, first board, please.
I think Ryan had a question.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a procedural question. I think we have at least one applicant who has time remaining on an existing board. There might be more than one example, but I think I know of at least one. And I would like to ask, is there a way to manage this process such that if that person moves to another board, that we're able to use the space that was created and fill that today, rather than wait a whole nother year to address that? And I suppose one way to do that might be just to, if we could identify any of the boards which have someone who is applying for another board, to do that one at the end, because then we would know by the time we got to it. I recognize this might be a monkey wrench, but that I'd ask. Thank you.
Well,
We have one member that is currently serving on the EAB that has applied to 3 other boards. So what we did in a proactive manner was to inform this candidate that if he is appointed, which he can be, to another board, he would immediately need to resign from his current seat at EAB. And unless I'm mistaken, we can at that point tonight fill his seat because we do have a tentative resignation on file.
So thanks for raising that, Ryan. So what I might suggest is that we go all the way through the board appointments, and if at the end of that time we do have the situation where that individual has been appointed to another board, we could then return to EAB at that time, if that's acceptable. So we've got our...
We'll start tonight's boards and commissions nomination and appointment process with the Arts Commission. We have 2 seats available on that commission. Seat 5 and seat 7 are both to appoint a member to a 5-year term throughout March of 2030. We have several candidates for this position. We have Carol Brewer, who is already serving on the board and has been a member of the board since 2021.
Elisha, is that not Carolyn Kurt, who's the existing member?
I'm sorry?
I believe the existing member is Caroline Kurt, not Carol Brewer.
I'll have John have to verify that.
Good evening, City Council. John Morris, Elections Administrator. I do not have my boards and commissions database in front of me, but that does sound correct, and I can make that correction on the PowerPoint.
So thank you. And I'm looking at the website of the current members, and it is in fact Caroline Kurt on the website.
All right, thank you, Mayor, for catching that. We so appreciate that, and we apologize for the typo. All right, so we will continue with our candidates: Carol Brewer, Emily Burrows, Beth Islaki, Carolyn Kurt, who is the current member that has been serving since 2021, Patty Lieber, Sarah Sanderson, Mila Sikorsky, and please forgive me, Gay Alathri Vinay.
Thanks. But before I ask for the first nomination, well, I'll just say I'll encourage folks, obviously nominate people that you would like to see serving. When you talk about their virtues, if I could just encourage brevity, because we have a lot of people and a lot of boards that we're getting through tonight. So when you speak up for your preferred candidate, I'd encourage you to be concise in that advocacy. And with that in mind, nominations. Nicole.
Yes, I wanted to nominate Mila Sikorsky for seat number 5. That's the one that we're starting with. And would you like me to say a couple words now or wait?
Why don't we get the nominations and then speak to them, if you don't mind. Any other nominations? Tara.
I'm going to nominate Carol Brewer.
Yes, Mark.
Carolyn Kurt.
Yes, Taisha.
Sarah Sanderson. Oh, sorry. Yes. No. Gayatri.
Okay, Gayatri Vinay, not Sarah Sanderson. Okay. So we'll undo Sarah and instead do Gayatri Vinay, please. Any others? All right. Well, if people would like to speak to their nominations, Nicole, you start off.
Yeah, I think having younger people and student voices is always a nice thing to have on our boards and commissions. That was Mila. I appreciated her comments in her interview about just thinking about how to amplify immigrant voices, especially right now, and thought she had interesting perspective as a poet law student.
Thanks. Tara?
Keeping it brief, Carol had a fantastic interview, and she's very qualified, and I think she'll do a great job.
Carolyn Kurt is an incumbent. I found her performance in the interviews to be excellent. I thought she was extremely articulate, awesomely knowledgeable about the field, and she's an attorney and an arts attorney actually, and I think she's worthy of reappointment.
Taisha.
Thank you. I recommended Gaia 3 because I believe that it is really critical that we maintain strong representative diversity on our board and commission, and our arts commission in particular. I appreciated not only the interest around the Dairy Arts Center, but also and the relationship there, but also just acknowledging a lot of the other components that she brings to the work. I also just want to lift up that the only, we had racial and ethnic diversity on the Arts Council. I think it's concerning that there wasn't an option to, or the person did not seek reappointment, and so I have some concerns around that, and that's why I am making the recommendation that I'm making. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, so are we alphabetical or reverse?
We'll start with alphabetical.
Okay, so, and I will ask people to raise your hands conspicuously so I can see easily. So we'll go alphabetical order. All those in favor?
I have a process question.
Yes.
My process question is just for habit. Are we, in this initial voting, are we deciding which seat that we want to go for? Because right now it's sort of, it's moot because they're both 5, but at some point we're going to get to 5, 2s, 1s. So I just want to make, for practice, are we identifying up front? Or like, how's that go in the process? Are we just getting to finalists and then we choose which seat we want? Or is this initial voting for seat 5 or 7? Are we announcing it? I'm just wondering, how do we wither down which seat we get to?
Thanks for checking on that. Lauren, did you want to speak to that?
I would just say that typically we have been doing the longest term first, and then moving through towards shorter terms progressively as we appoint candidates.
Yeah, and I think that's a good practice, but maybe, Elisha, we can, when they have the same number of years, we could proceed in numeric orders, that we would be starting with seat number 5. Is that?
I have a question.
Yes, that would be the normal procedure for us to appoint to seat 5 first, and seat 7, since they both have equal terms.
Okay, very good. Tara?
Can I pull off Carol and then do her for the next seat, or is it too late?
You can withdraw the nomination if you would like.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, so I'll withdraw Carol for now. Yes.
Okay, so Carol is off the table. For seat number 5. Yes. Okay, so we have 3 people, Carolyn, Mila, and Gayatri. So in alphabetical order, all those in favor of Carolyn Kurt, raise your hand. It's like we got 5 on that one. And then all those, well, I mean, I will ask people, would you prefer that I finish out the process if we already have a majority, or just say we've got a majority? Just move on. Yeah, okay. I will just move on then. So Carolyn Kurt has seat number 5.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is it just how we go first? We're not going to say, does Mila get 5, and then we decide off the 5? Because I feel like.
So once you have a majority, then the question is decided. But we have another seat.
So it just, I feel like it should be.
Next time we do reverse.
I guess I have concerns with how we're doing this because it then gives advantage to alphabetical order. Does anybody else see what I'm talking about? If we had started with Mila with the thing and she got 5, then would she get that seat? If we started with, I'm just saying, if we're going by alphabetical order, then it would advantage whoever has earlier in the alphabet.
I mean, I'd say
If you don't think so, then if we got to Mila and started with her and did 5, and if we do it reverse the other way, Mila still wouldn't be an option for 5. So can somebody explain to me how that's fair?
so
But
we
you
have to
can't
go in
vote
some.
for 2 candidates.
I would just say that, Taisha, we have to go in some order. I think probably, I don't know, Teresa, did you want to speak to this?
The council rules of procedure provide for this procedure. When you are voting, certainly what you need to keep in mind is that you can, for each seat, you can only vote one time. And so, once a majority carries, it's not possible that another person would carry a majority.
Because that is the clear winner at that point.
Okay, so it's basically because there are, because you can only vote once per round.
Yeah.
Per seat.
Okay,
And-
per seat.
And so we can just keep that in mind, is make sure and vote for your preferred candidate, whether they come up first, second, third, or fourth.
Gatekeepers are us. Thank you.
Okay, well, so that Carolyn Kurt is selected for seat number 5 for a 5-year term. Let's go to seat number 7, also for a 5-year term. Nominations. Nicole.
I would like to nominate Mila again. Same reasons.
Other nominations? Tara.
Carol Brewer, same reason.
Good. Did you want to nominate again? All right, any other nominations? Seeing no, oh, yep, Lauren.
I'd like to nominate Gaia for the same reasons that Taisha did previously.
Okay. Seeing no other nominations, we now vote in reverse order.
Yes, sir.
So all in favor of Gayatri, raise your hand. We got 3. All in favor of Mila Sikorsky? Got 2. All in favor of Carol Brewer? We got 4. All right, so Mila drops out.
Yes.
And so we got 2 here now in this, going back in regular alphabetical order, we got Carol and Gayatri. So all in favor of Carol. I got 3. All in favor of Gayatri. I got 6. So Gayatri is appointed to seat number 7 with a 5-year term.
All right, thank you. Our next board we will review is the Beverage Licensing Authority. We have 2 seats open there. Okay. Seat number 1 is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March of 2030. Seat number 4 is to appoint a member to an unexpired 3-year term through 3/28. We have 2 applicants. First, we have Ginger Barnes. We do want to note that she applied also to the Housing Advisory Board and the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and Lansing Crane, who also applied to the Transportation Advisory Board.
Yeah, I see Lauren first.
I just wanted to clarify, she also applied to the Human Relations Commission as well, I believe.
Who? Ginger?
Ginger.
Okay.
Although, I don't know if she interviewed for Human Relations. Yeah. Okay. Matt?
I'll check on that.
So I have a process question. This is an instance where we're basically appointing by abdication because we don't have more candidates than seats. So I'm just sort of curious, what do we want to do in this instance? I personally am not a big fan of just, in this case, appointing by abdication. So I don't know, is this one that we would want to decide to leave it open so we at least have more options than seats available? So I just pose that, and I don't know, going forward, we're going to have a few of these boards, and so I don't know what's the recommendation of council on how to proceed. Do we take them one at a time, or do we have a general process where we're like, hey, we're going to treat this sort of across the board? If we have the same number of candidates as seats, we're going to leave it open, or we're going to treat it one by one. So I just wanted to get everyone's ideas on how we want to proceed on that one, because I have a personal discomfort with appointing by abdication.
I'm going to turn to Teresa. Teresa, if we wanted as a council to reopen rather than appoint this evening, I don't believe it's covered in the rules and procedures. Would that be like a nod of 5 kind of a thing, like all in favor of holding this open?
It would be a vote.
Mhm.
And so you would vote to appoint one seat, and you would leave one seat open by a majority vote if that is the will of council. This council has done that before.
Well, you could appoint one, leave one open, or you could leave both open.
Correct. That's true. Sorry. Yes. You can vote. You can vote for an appointment, or you could vote to leave the seat open.
So would that be like a nomination for the seat? Like could say, I nominate candidate A, and somebody could say, I nominate that we leave it open?
That's not how we've done it in the past. How we've done it in the past is somebody would suggest it's left open. There would then be a vote.
Okay, we can work with that. Yes, Mark.
I actually would vote to appoint. We never get a plethora of candidates for BLA, and we're often short or almost short of candidates. If we have 2 who are prepared to serve, unless either one of them has some special defect in terms of their capabilities or willingness, maybe the fact that they're willing to serve is a bad sign, but the fact that they are, I appreciate, and would rather not wait for the landslide of applications for this board that never comes.
Okay, fair point. I will say that if we do decide to hold any seats open, I don't think it will be because of a special defect on the part of anybody, but just maybe looking for some additional candidates.
I'll change the wording.
Yeah, Lauren and then Nicole.
I guess I just wanted to point out that it's in terms of boards that we have applicants for, but not more applicants than seats available, would be Beverage Licensing, Design Advisory Board, HRC, Landmarks Board, Uni Hill, and RAB, which is a significant number of boards to hold open and not appoint tonight. So at the very least, I would personally recommend that we're not doing that across the board.
I wanted to nominate Lansing Crane for seat number 1.
Okay, so you don't want to hold off, but I think we're going to consider the possibility of holding off first before we get our nominations. So Matt, did you want to then kind of formally propose that we hold this one open?
Yeah, I would like to propose that we make note. Well, let me ask a process question on top of that. By not nominating, does this board become unable to serve its function if it has 2 vacancies?
It varies by board. And so this is a great question that I wish you had asked much earlier in the day. I can do some quick research.
My apologies, Teresa.
That's okay.
Sure.
Another option was, why am I listening to myself? Well, because we keep having this issue, maybe the boards and commissions subcommittee can come up with a ruling, or maybe suggest a ruling to council. We don't rule ourselves. And not decide just on the fly. And it's an awful lot of open boards, but I think we should do something, but maybe not tonight.
Okay, so there's a proposal to consider for the boards and commissions subcommittee going forward. Are we waiting for, maybe give Teresa a minute? Tina, did you want us to say something?
Could I interject?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but I feel fine with both of these candidates. So I just want to throw that out into the universe.
Then let me just save this by chance and just say, look, I'll just ask the question and then we can do the research. I would prefer to leave this one particularly open, and then try to get more candidates. If I'm not in the majority, then it saves Teresa some on-the-fly research.
Mayor, we have a quick clarification on that, John.
On the topic of a quorum, we do have a provision in our code that allows members to continue their service until their vacancy is filled. That is understanding they do want to continue their service, but the BLA would be able to continue meeting and making quorum with the understanding the members that whose seat are going to expire do want to continue until then.
Okay, so did you want to make a?
I mean, I just kind of did.
Yeah.
If you want me to say it again.
Yeah.
I would like to propose leaving this open, this BLA open, and
Okay.
finding more candidates.
All in favor of leaving it open? Got a couple, so we're not doing that. So let's move to nominations. So let's go for seat number 1, so the 5-year term. Nicole.
I just wanted to clarify real quick, Mayor, if I may interrupt, that we did check, the Ginger did apply for that board, but she chose not to interview for that board.
And you're speaking now of HRC.
For the HRC, my apologies.
Thanks for clarifying.
So she did apply, but she didn't interview for that board.
Okay, Nicole.
Well, real quick question is, she applied, that means to 4 boards. So I'm assuming she's not allowed to, we can't count her for the 4th board, is that true?
I mean, right now what's in front of us is whether to appoint her to the BLA. So let's get through that question
Okay.
and then.
Check.
Nicole.
Yes, so I was going to nominate Lansing Crane for seat number 1, the 5-year term.
Great. Other nominations? Seeing none, that'll be by acclamation. So then we have the seat number 4, the unexpired 3-year term. Yep, Nicole. Not Nicole, Lauren.
I know that Ginger did not interview for the HRC position, but given her background, I thought that she would be a good fit for that board. And so I was interested in seeing how the vote went for that before we determine whether or not to appoint her for this.
I mean, I think we're going in alphabetical order. By board.
But we could come back to, we could wait it.
Sure.
But then I would need to ask Teresa, I guess, if somebody applies for 4 boards, if this is her 4th board, and it's not the one she interviewed for, is she even allowed, are we even allowed to count her? Or am I being unclear?
I'm gonna look to our city clerk. Is there a limit on the number of boards someone can apply to?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Is there a limit to the number of boards someone can apply to?
No, not
I'm
in the
not
code.
familiar with such a limit.
No, there's
So they
nothing in
can
the code.
apply for every board, but they can only sit on one.
Except for the BJs.
Okay, so we have an answer to that question. And let's try to move through. We're going awfully slowly through these boards. Yes, Mark. On the mic.
I defer to Teresa and Alicia, but I had a strong recollection that 3 was the limit. I may be entirely
Yep.
incorrect in that, but.
So, Nicole, did you have a suggestion?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, she didn't interview for one, right? And there are other candidates that filled out an application but didn't interview. And so just from a process perspective, it doesn't sound right to think about someone who's applied to a board where we have an open seat and think about having them for another board that they chose not to interview for. So it's a little mixed up for me. So, I mean, I'm happy to nominate somebody if that helps move us forward too.
Yeah, Lauren, I appreciate the request, but the kind of a conditional wait and then come back, I think it's maybe too complicated and not part of our rules of procedures. So would somebody like to make another nomination or a nomination for seat number 4, the 3-year term? Mark?
I'll nominate Ginger Barnes.
I won't ask for other nominations because there are no other candidates. So I think that means by application, with no one else involved, then Ginger gets the seat number 4. Yes.
I don't understand why we still don't have to vote, and like the person would still need to get a majority to get on. Can somebody explain that to me?
Well, Teresa, I know that I know you're looking up something else. We're throwing it fast and furious. I know in the past, we've generally, when we've only had one nomination, we've done it by acclamation. Do you think that we should have an actual vote in case so many people abstain that it's not 5 votes?
Yes, Mayor. I think the best practice is to hold a vote.
Okay, fair point. Taisha, thanks for asking.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to Lansing then,
I'm fine with that, too.
since we're being corrected on this. So let's go into the Wayback Machine, and we have just nominated Lansing for seat number 1 for the 5-year term. There is no other nomination. All in favor of appointing Lansing to seat number 1, raise your hand. All right, we got 9 people there. Yes, and now rolling forward a little bit further into the future, Mark has just nominated Ginger Barnes for seat number 4, the 3-year term. All in favor of Ginger Barnes, raise your hand. That was 5.
To your point, I don't think you should just get off. You should have to be voted on. So that counts.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the next board, and appreciate us working through the process questions, but hopefully we can just move through the process here. All right, we got, all right, folks, Board of Zoning Adjustment. I'm starting to stutter here after all this. BOZA, we got seat number 5, appointing a member to a 5-year term. We have 3 people who have applied. Do I need to read the names, Elisha?
I mean, if you'd like me to, what is our normal procedure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, great. So, again, we can change on the fly. We have the Board of Zoning Adjustment, seat number 5 is open to appoint members to a 5-year term through March of 2030. We have Joe Foley, who's applied also to the Planning Board, Sean Hanley, and Finn Jackson.
Thanks. Nominations? Got Ryan.
I'd like to nominate Sean Haney.
Tara.
I'd like to nominate Joe Foley.
Seeing no other hands, we've got 2 nominations, Joe Foley and Sean Haney. And I think yes, Lauren?
Can I just do a shout out for Finn, but not nominate them?
Sure. Yay, Finn.
Thank you for applying, Finn. You were also really great.
Thank you, Finn. Ryan, do you want to speak to your nomination?
Sean's someone who has showed up for land use issues in a number of different ways in the recent months and year, coming to talk to us and help us try to get policy right. So I think he's a sharp thinker and he's a dedicated advocate, and I'd like to see him on this board.
Great. Tara?
Joe did a great interview, and he's very qualified, and I liked him.
Good. I believe we're in alphabetical order.
Yes, sir. We're reverse alphabetical because we had 3 rounds with the last multiple.
Okay, so to reverse alphabetical.
Yes.
All right, all in favor of Sean Haney, raise your hand. All right, we got 6. And all in favor of Joe Foley? We got 3. All right, so Sean is appointed to seat number 5.
All right. Our next board we will review is our Boulder Junction Access District Parking Commission. Now, we do want to note we have 3 seats available on this commission. We have seats 1 and 3, which are to appoint a member to, seat 1, let's start individually because they're different terms. Appoint member to a unexpired 3-year term through March 28th. Again, this is seat 1, and this seat is for a property owner or representative. Seat 3 is to appoint a member to unexpired 1-year term through March 26th and must also be a property owner or representative. And we have seat 5, which is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through 3/31/2030. We have 1 applicant, and that is Daniel Eisman, and he is eligible for seat number 5 only. We do want to note for council that under the Boulder Revised Code Section 2-3-21H, staff has requested that Daniel Eisman be appointed to both the BJAD Parking Commission and Travel Demand Commission. And also note that Mr. Eisman has been contacted by staff, and we have a written approval that he has agreed to be if appointed, to serve on both commissions if that is desire of council.
Very good, but we should do them one board at a time, I believe. Yes. So this is going to be for seat number 5 for a 5-year term. Do we have a nomination? Matt?
I'd like to go ahead and nominate Daniel Eisenman for the simple reason that he's arguably one of the most overqualified people for this role in BJAD TDM. And we love overqualified. He's an amazing human and does great work. So Daniel's the right person for this.
Okay. All in favor of Daniel, raise your hand. All right, we got 9. Daniel gets seat number 5.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll look at the Boulder Junction Access District Travel Demand Management Commission. We have 3 seats available on that commission. Seat 3 is to appoint a member to an expired 3-year term through March 2028. This seat must be filled with a property owner or representative. We have seat 4, which is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March of 2030. And then we have seat 5, which is to appoint a member to an unexpired 4-year term through March of 2029. The applicant that applied for this is Kevin Cruz, and he is eligible for seats 4 and 5.
Great. And then Daniel Eisenman has also expressed a willingness to be appointed to this as well. So let's start with seat number 4, the 5-year term. Lauren?
I wanted to nominate Daniel for this more because of the term alignments. We just already appointed him to a 5-year seat, and I think that it would make sense to not have him serve on one and not the other and have them out of alignment.
Great point. Any other nominations for the seat? Seeing none, all in favor of Daniel for the seat? That's unanimous. So Daniel gets appointed to seat number 4. How about seat number 5, the 4-year term? Do we have a nomination? Tara?
I'll nominate Kevin Kraus. He was good.
Because he's good. Okay, very good. So Kevin Kraus has been nominated. No one else is eligible. All in favor of Kevin for the seat? That is unanimous. Kevin gets seat number 5.
All right, thank you, Council. Next, we have the Design Advisory Board. We have 1 seat available here, and that is seat 5, and that is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030. And this seat must be filled with a design professional. We have 1 applicant for this seat, and that is Brendan Ash, and she has been a member of that board since 2021.
Lauren?
I was really excited to see that Brandon Ash reapplied. I think that they've done a great job on this role thus far, and I'm excited to see her continue forward with this. I did just want to note that we had more than 1 application, but because of how we're currently interpreting like professional requirements for particular boards, it was narrowed down to 1. And because there are already a number of people on the Design Advisory Board that, in my opinion, meet that professional requirement, I would like to have the boards and commissions discuss how we do that to try and give us more flexibility in the future.
Something for the subcommittee to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you say the words of nomination there?
I'd love to nominate Brendan Ash.
Okay. Say the words. Okay, we have Brendan Ash nominated for seat number 5. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, I got 9 on that. So Brendan is appointed to seat number 5.
All right, next, our board to review is our Environmental Advisory Board. We have 1 seat open, and that is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March of 2030. We have several applicants, and so my apologies if I do not pronounce your name correctly. So we have Astro Batolio, Austin Everett, Richard Gisiosia, Daniel Howard, Dayton Martindale, Floyd McCullen, Tina Mew, who has also applied to the Open Space Boards of Trustees, Hannah Altman, L. Alfonso Perez Duran, James Voorhees, and Adam Winston.
Very good. So we got seat number 5, 5-year term. Nominations, please. I'm seeing Mark over here first.
Well, this is an abundance of riches. I mean, there were 5 people at least that I would have been very, very happy to see serve on this board. Since I can only make one nomination, we only have one seat, I would nominate Adam Winston.
Others? Tina.
I'd like to nominate Tina Mew.
Anybody on this? Yeah, Ryan.
Agree with Mark, and I'd like to nominate Daniel Howard.
All right. I'm mostly staying out of the nominations, but yes, Taisha.
I would like to nominate Hannah.
Oh, good. Well, you took care of it for me, so thank you. Perfect. All right. Any other nominations? Seeing none, did you want to speak to your nomination, Mark?
Yeah, I just thought his background was very extensive in the field. And again, he interviewed very strongly, very articulate. And he's even written a paper on achieving a zero waste program. So he's checking the boxes for this particular board, and I think he would do a terrific job, as would several others.
Tina?
Yeah, I just want to agree with the comments about the incredible candidates in this pool in particular. But we have an incredible climate initiatives team that has expertise that always amazes me. And when I think about the Environmental Advisory Board, it's how do we connect that expertise and those strategies to the community? So I'm nominating Tina Mew because of her long outreach in the community with children as a teacher from Centennial Middle School, and her specialty in botany, and just thinking about not so much about trying to be part of the staff, but instead connecting the work of the staff into the community. I could think of no better candidate. Thank you.
Thanks. Brian?
We have a few boards like this where there's just a ton of wealth in our applicants, and so I like to think about what modern problems are we trying to solve, and we have now a climate initiatives plan to work on land use meaningfully for, I think, really the first time. Daniel Howard is somebody who comes to us with data graphics and presentations month after month, and he's very smart on the topics that we are trying to advance in our one of our council's priorities. So that's Daniel.
Taisha?
Thank you. I lifted up Hannah for a candidate for a couple of areas. She was one of the only ones that really talked about corporate responsibility, which I think is an incredible growth area for the Environmental Advisory Board. In addition, she's one of the few people that talked about environmental justice, which is currently not well represented on staff. And I think that is an area we still have, as you all know, our mobile park communities and mobile home communities still have a lower water quality. I know they're doing their work on the state level, but I would love to have somebody who has a really deep understanding. We also have the Valmont coal ash issue as well, as we also have the Marshall Mesa and the coal cleanups there. And so once again, I am just seeing a gap, but I will agree with my colleagues that this is a very, very strong board. And if anything, I'm hopeful that we can get some more cross-pollination and have more environmentally focused people on our housing, on our planning, on those kinds of things. So if you don't get onto this one, please consider applying again, and also consider applying for other boards that you may not think, because every board should have a climate expert with a variety of different expertise. So that's why I'm lifting them up. And thank you.
Thanks. All right. Well, I'll agree with my colleagues that I would be happy with any of these 4 nominees. I wish we had more spots available. Elisha, I've lost track. Are we reverse? Alphabetical. Okay, so in alphabetical order, all those in favor of Daniel Howard. We're going by last name.
Oh, thank you.
Alphabetical by last name. So Daniel Howard. Okay, not seeing any hands raised for Daniel. Tina Mew. I got 3. Hannah Oltman. I got 2. And Adam Winston. I got 4. Okay, so Daniel drops off because he had 0. And do I have to run it again? Okay. Yeah. All right, we're going to go reverse alphabetical now with Daniel dropped off. So we're going to start with Adam Winston. We got 3. Oh, 4. Okay, got 4 there. Hannah Altman. We got 2. Tina Mew. We got 3. So Hannah Altman drops off. So last round with Tina Mew and Adam Winston, we'll go alphabetical. All those in favor of Tina Mew. We got 3. And Adam Winston. That gives us 6. So Adam Winston is appointed to seat number 5.
Also renewable energy on Adam.
All right.
All right, thank you, council. Next, we'll look at our Housing Advisory Board. We have 2 seats available to fill on this board. Seat number 2 is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030. And seat 4 is to appoint a member to an unexpired 2-year term through March 2027. We have 5 applicants up that we presented to you. We'll start with Ginger Barnes, who again applied to the BLA and the Parks and Recs Advisory Board. Dylan Hodge, Jessica Ramier, Lauren Chevetz, and Cynthia Torres.
All right, let's start with seat number 2, the 5-year term. I've got Nicole in my line of sight. Or do you want to get Matt?
He saw you first.
I feel like Aaron's looking right at me today, so I don't know if
because I
that's
keep
fair.
looking at the screen over
I
here.
know, right?
so
I know. I'm like
I guess I
perfectly
need to sit here.
positioned.
That's fine.
Perfectly positioned
Yeah,
tonight.
I
I wanted to nominate Cynthia Torres.
Good. Any other nominations for this seat? Nicole, would you like to speak?
I'd love to. She's been so active in our community, and I think having the perspective of a manufactured home resident as well is a really wonderful thing for Housing Advisory Board. So I was thrilled when I saw her name and very thrilled to nominate her.
Great. All in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous. Cynthia Torres for seat number 2. So let's go to seat number 4, the 2-year term. Nominations, please. I'm looking in this direction. Oh, Matt.
I'm going to nominate Jessica Raymer. So yeah.
Okay, others? Tara?
I'm going to nominate Lauren Chevetz.
Any others? Don't seeing any others. So Matt, you want to speak?
Yeah, I think Jessica brings a professional expertise that could bring about, I think, some of refreshing diversity of thought that we typically don't have in Housing Advisory Board. And so I think when we think about some of our boards is how do we make sure that we've got a smattering, a smorgasbord of different professions. And so I think that Jessica brings a unique and / new perspective to have that it hasn't had in a very long time.
Great. Tara?
I'm going to say the same exact thing about Lauren, exactly his words. So I don't repeat myself.
Ditto, just for another person. Okay. Sorry, are we alphabetical now? Okay. All right, we're alphabetical, so raise your hand for Jessica Raymer. 1, 2, 3. Lauren Chevetz. That's 6. So Lauren Chevetz gets seat number 4.
All right, thank you, council. Next, we have the Housing Authority. We have 1 seat available for that board, and it is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030, and it is for seat 6. We have 5 applicants. Matthew Bissonette, who has been a member of that board since 2020. Andrew Berwick. Rabia Kasim, who also applied to our Transportation Advisory Board. Peter Sturr, and Hernan Valunea, again, forgive me, who also applied to the Planning Board and TAB, and he is the current member of the Environmental Advisory Board, seat 1, and his term ends in March of 2026.
All right, so for seat number 6, 5-year term, nominations, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate Matt Bissonette for that seat.
Good. Other nominations? Yeah, Matt?
I'd like to nominate Hernan Villanueva.
Anybody else? Seeing none, you want to speak to yours?
Yes, I do. The basis for my nomination is that I've been a representative of this council to the board of BHP for a couple of years now, and I would regard Matt as, of the 9 of us, easily the most knowledgeable and the strongest of the board members. In addition, BHP is going to have a substantial turnover next year in terms of seats. 3 or 4 seats are going to be open, and I value a little bit of continuity on the board, especially given the climate in which we're operating. So I think very highly of Matt, and he's been working in this space of affordable housing for 25 years, and I think that's something to take note of.
Thanks. Matt?
Yeah, my nomination for Hernan is largely based on his impeccable service at EAB, but also that he's got a very, I think, interesting focus with middle-income housing as it really pertains to our school enrollment challenges. He's a father of young children and in our elementary school program, and I think and he's just a phenomenally smart and dedicated human. And I'll just say as a caveat, I mean, also Matthew is great, Hernan is awesome. I think these are 2 incredible candidates that we would be great to have either way. But I think Hernan bringing some middle income desires to help sort of nudge BHP in that direction, I think is a good thing.
Very good. Taisha?
I just want to lift up Hernan's service to the Environmental Advisory Board as well, but also just lift up the need for cross-pollination, pun intended, on our housing authority. Currently, there is not somebody with significant experience and expertise in energy, water, and that's exactly the kinds of perspectives right now more than ever that we need on the board at this time. And although I appreciate Matthew's service, and I'm hopeful that they would be willing to stay involved, and there's a variety of different ways community members can stay involved beyond our boards and commissions, so I want to honor that. But I was very, very excited to have Hernan's candidacy, and it wasn't actually for the middle income piece, it was really around, I really am hopeful that we have some more strength in the environmental perspective in our housing decisions. Thank you.
Thanks for that. All right, so we are in reverse alphabetical. So all in favor of Hernan Villanueva. We got 4. All in favor of Matthew Bissonette. That is 5. Yep. Yeah.
I know that Hernan didn't get this one, and I don't know how he'll play out on the others, but I hope he gets a seat now, and if not, I hope he reapplies. He's a rising star in our community, and so I'd really like to see him continue to be involved in one way or the other.
Yep, great point. Thanks, Taisha.
While we're on points, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up, I would like the boards and commissions committee to look at the process that we use for recommendations as well for candidates, recognizing that this board in particular has oversight responsibilities. And so just being mindful of, if there are conversations that are being had at the individual council level, that any contextual information that is provided during those conversations are available to all council members. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and I think it's really important that we take a look at just again, I'm fine for if folks that are on the committee or in the organization want to make a recommendation, but I want to make sure that that's available to everyone all the time. And similarly, it just felt like getting recommendations. I would be taken aback if Brad Mueller, for example, contacted me with recommendations for somebody he thought was a strong candidate for the planning board. It's just not. It's just something that as a governance professional, I wanted to lift up as an issue that I saw in this round that I'm hopeful that we can get some clarity and consistency around. Thank you.
Okay, point taken, Taisha. All right. Yes.
Yeah, just one more thing about Hernan, who is valued. I think it is the intention of BHP to offer him a non-board seat on its development committee, so that he will get background, he will be educated, and so that next year, when several seats are open, he will not only hopefully be a candidate, he will be an extremely knowledgeable candidate.
Thanks for sharing that. All right, next board, please, Elisha.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next, we are going to look at the Human Relations Commission. We have one seat available there, and that is to appoint a member for a 5-year term through March 30, 2030. We have one applicant, and that is Barry French, and he also applied to the Open Space Board of Trustees.
Thanks for that. Yeah, Matt.
All right, I'm going to come back to a process, and maybe I get another bite at the apple. I would like to keep this particular HRC seat open to hopefully seek some more candidates.
Okay, so we have a proposal out on the table yet, Mark?
Just a clarifying question. Is there something particular about this board that makes you want to do this?
Yeah, Lauren?
I mean, I can answer, but...
Well, I guess some of these boards we typically don't get a large number of applicants to, like BJAD and things like that, where in BLA we often only have the number, we're lucky if we have the number of applicants as seats we have open. But this board, we typically tend to get significantly more applicants. So for me, that's part of why I might be interested in this.
Oh, I mean, she beat me to the punch. That was exactly my reasoning. It's just a little odd and out of sync because we normally have half a dozen or so for this board, so it's a little odd.
Yeah,
I'm okay with your suggestion.
Okay. Nicole?
If I'm remembering correctly, if we leave things open and do sort of other additional rounds and things like that, I mean, it does, we have to do this again with whoever comes back, right? Looking at everything that's coming up on our agenda this year, I do feel like if we've got people who are interested in serving on the boards, it saves us time, it saves staff time, it saves community time, if we can kind of just move forward. So I will be saying no to keeping it open, but understand if a majority want to go a different way.
And just to clarify, we know that we're going to be keeping some open regardless, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, we will be keeping some open regardless because there's some that had no applicants at all.
Right. So if you're in the public following along, we did not address the cannabis licensing advisory board, which we need 5 candidates and we don't have enough. So.
Yep. Taisha?
My preference is that we just vote for everybody, and if you don't get the 5, then you're not in. Instead of trying to add another vote, we could just vote on the Barry dude, or if I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flippant. I'm more so saying, are there any recommendations for Barry? If there's not, then that would be it. I just don't feel like we need to add another layer of procedure when if they don't get a nomination, then. Right?
Yeah, it's just that when we talked about this procedure at the beginning, and Teresa recommended that we have a separate vote on whether to reopen. Did I understand that correctly, Teresa?
I just think it's an unnecessary step.
You did.
Yeah, so I guess the
All right,
city attorney
fine.
recommends
Sure.
that process. So we'd love
Okay.
to go to vote.
Just real quick, part of the reason why I think it would be important is we may get more applicants and Barry may still end up being the most qualified. And so it would be odd if we took a vote now, opened it back up to which he reapplied, and then something else occurred. That would just be an awkward
That's
situation.
not what I was saying.
No,
So
no,
let me
the
add
process
to
like
that.
would be awkward.
That wasn't what I was saying. I was saying that if no one nominates the candidates that are on the slate, then by default, it remains open.
Yeah,
And I don't
and I
feel
fully-
like
fully-
another procedure to reinforce that is necessary. But again, I don't want to nickel and dime, so let's just keep going.
Okay, thank you. So we have a proposal to hold this board open. All in favor, raise your hand. I got 5. Okay, so we'll hold this open for additional recruitment. I appreciate Barry for applying, and it will be considered as part of the next round. All right.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll review the Landmarks Board. We have one seat available there. That is seat 5, and it is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030. And this seat, the appointee must be an architectural or planning professional. We have one applicant, and that is Michael Ray.
Okay, we got seat number 5, a 5-year term, nominations.
Sorry, is that right? Just to make sure, I have. Sorry.
We just did HRC. What's that, Ryan?
I thought there were 4 applicants for landmarks. I must be.
Oh,
looking
so
at the
not
wrong
all of them are architecture planning professionals, and so therefore we're not qualified. And this is what Lauren was speaking to earlier that the subcommittee is going to look at. Okay, so nominations for this. Tara?
I nominate Michael Ray because he was awesome.
Thanks for that. All those in favor of Michael Ray, raise your hand. That's 9, so Michael Ray is appointed to seat number 5.
All right, thank you. Next, we have our Open Space Board of Trustees. We have 1 seat available on that board, and it is to appoint a member for a 5-year term through March 2030. We have 2, 4, 6, 9 applicants. We'll start with Paul Alaback, Burl Almsbury, Catherine Crane, who also applied to the Parks and Recs Advisory Board, Barry French, who also applied to the Human Relations Commission, Robert Kaplan, he applied also to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Tina Mew, who applied to the EAB, David Olskamp, who applied to the Planning Board, and Kristen Ruiz and Harmon Zuckerman, who is a current member who has been serving since 2023.
Right, nominations. I got Matt up here.
I nominate Harmon Zuckerman.
Other nominations? Lauren?
I nominate Kristen Ruiz.
Any others? Tara?
I nominate Robert Kaplan.
All right. Yes, Nicole?
I nominate Paul Alaback.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised, so Matt, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll speak to Harmon. For one, he is just finishing off another board member's term, and so he's only had just a short period, and we tend to let someone get a full term if they're just finishing a short bit of someone else's term. Harmon has been exemplary on Open Space Board of Trustees, and I think his professional background of being a land use attorney has been especially important with some of the work that OSBT has been doing with regards to CU South and other properties, and so I think his skill set is not only needed, but is going to continue to be needed for quite some time on Open Space Board of Trustees.
I was really drawn to Kristen for her work in ecological research and sort of the background in management and working in natural and remote environments.
Great. Tara?
Well, Rob is a recently retired firefighter, and we could sure use one of those, and he's great. So,
That was a long speech for you tonight. Nicole?
Paul, I think, has a lot of service experience in neighboring communities, and just really appreciated his expertise in forestry and his work there, kind of translating science into policy and the prior things that he's done. Plus, I met him at the Pollinator Festival, and just seeing him out in community doing some of the education was really fun, too.
Very good. Taisha?
I just wanted to speak up to something else that Kirsten Ruiz brings to the table that no one else does, that is needed on our open space, and that is experience with extension and our agricultural footprint, which is currently a stepchild of our of our components and is in great need for a more focused area. So that's another reason why I support the nomination of Ms. Ruiz. Thank you.
All right. So I believe we're in alphabetical order at this point. So all in favor of Paul Alaback, raise your hand. I got 1. And we do have great applicants here, to be clear. Great applicants. This is rough. Robert Kaplan. I got 2. Kirsten Ruiz. I got 3. Harmon Zuckerman. I got 3. So I think Paul drops out. And so now we'll go reverse alphabetical. Harmon Zuckerman. 3. Kirsten Ruiz. 4, Robert Kaplan. 2. All right, so Robert Kaplan drops off. Now, final round, we'll start with Kirsten Ruiz. I got 4, Harmon Zuckerman. I got 5. All right, Harmon Zuckerman gets seat number 5 for the 5-year term.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a bit of a quandary with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We have 5 seats available for appointment. Seat number 1 is to appoint a member to an unexpired 1-year term through March 26. Seat 2 is to appoint a member to an unexpired 2-year term through March 27. And seat number 4 is also appointing a member to an unexpired 3-year term through March of 28. Seat 6 and seat 7 are to appoint members to a 5-year term through March 3rd, 2030. We have several applicants. We'll start with Phil Barber, Ginger Barnes, who applied also again to the BLA and the HAB, Grant Buggerner, Yvonne Castillo, Catherine Crane, who also applied to the Open Space Board and Trustees, Carolyn Gecker, Robert Kaplan, Morgan Lamiel, Zachary Majorca, Roz Moriano, Eric Raffini, who is currently serving on the board since 2024, Shelley Russell, Benjamin Satloff, Michael Schreiner, and Kira Siegel.
All right, this is going to be a marathon here, folks. So we got 5 seats to fill. Fortunately, we have many very well qualified applicants. So we will start with seat number 6, the 5-year term. And so I will take nominations. Nicole?
I wanted to nominate Benjamin Satloff.
Mark?
I'd like to nominate Mike Schreiner.
Mike Schreiner, okay. Anybody else? All right, we got, oh yeah, Lauren?
I'd like to nominate Yvonne Castillo.
Very good. And we're going to have lots more opportunities to nominate. So, Nicole?
Yeah, I think having more younger folks involved, people who are students. He's actually finishing up his degree this year. So that, as well as just his work organizing and kind of working in policy spaces and translating his expertise from school into policy.
I thought Mike interviewed the best of all of the candidates, and these are some terrific candidates. I'm glad we're going to be able to send at least 5 of them into the fray. But Mike, to me, was the most organized, substantive, and articulate of our candidates, and I think he would make an exceptional member of the board.
I'm having a hard time finding my more detailed notes for the second, but I thought Yvonne was really great, and I'm really excited about her.
It's like a Terra-style speech.
Mayor, point of order.
Yes.
Can you just confirm, are we voting for the longest term now?
That's correct. So we're starting with seat number 6, which is one of the 2 5-year seats that are available tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so for seat number 6, we are in reverse alphabetical now. So Michael Schreiner, all in favor? We got 5, and then, so he'll get it, but we'll finish it out. Benjamin Satloff. We got 3, and Yvonne Castillo. We got 1. All right, so Michael Schreiner gets seat number 6. Now we will go to seat number 7, which is also a 5-year term. Nominations. Do you want to go again?
Yes, I'll nominate Benjamin Satloff once more.
Any others? No? Yes.
I actually have something to say. I wrote it down. Good for me.
Okay, but nominate somebody first.
I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote it down. You'll see. I nominate Kira Siegel because she is a professional. She's analytic. She has strategic skills. And I love the fact that she said she was customer centric. and I think I'm excited to see her transfer her skills to the government sector. Also, she's very empathic, or is the word empathetic? Not sure. And she fits our extreme need for the young people demographic. Yay, Kira.
Okay. Did you want to add something about?
I did want to add one more thing that I forgot to mention before, that Benjamin mentioned being just an avid user of the parks and being a little unusual in that regard, where a lot of people are out on the trails and he's in the parks. So I thought he also had a really interesting idea about providing equipment and stuff like that to facilitate people's use.
No, okay, no arms races here. Okay, we got 2 nominations, so we'll go in alphabetical order this time. These are tough votes. Benjamin Satloff. We got 3, 4. Kira Siegel. That's 5. So it goes to Kira. All right, so now we will go to seat number 4, which is a 3-year term, and nominations. Nicole, I have no idea what you're going to say.
So unexpected. I'm going to nominate Benjamin Satloff.
Okay, Tina.
I'm going to nominate Rob Kaplan.
Okay.
I'm going to nominate Morgan Lamalley.
Okay, you've spoken already? You're good? Yep. Tina?
Okay, so I'm nominating Rob Kaplan, in part because of his incredible involvement through the wildfire, and I think that does pertain to how we manage our civic spaces and trail system, and he can bring in that perspective to the work. So I think he'd be a great addition to this board.
Morgan, I think this board is going to be very short on board experience with 5 new people joining in. And Morgan, having previously a while back served on environmental advisory board, I think would be a big boost to this board, having already had some board experience. And I think that's going to be quite a premium for this as they get up to speed. Mom, kids in elementary school, a heavy user of our Parks and Rec system, and so I think she'd be a great contributor to this board.
Excellent. All right, we're in reverse order now. So Benjamin Satloff. We got 5. Finish it out. Morgan Lamalley. We got 1. And Robert Kaplan. We got 3. Okay, so Benjamin gets the seat number 4. So now we move to seat number 2, the 2-year term. Nominations. Tina.
Again, nominating Rob Kaplan.
I'm going to nominate Morgan Lamalley.
All right.
I'm going to nominate Yvonne.
Okay. All of these people have been spoken to already. If we're good. All right, we are in alphabetical now, so we will start with Yvonne Castillo. All in favor? Yvonne Castillo is the person on the table right now. We got 4. Robert Kaplan. We got 3. Morgan Lamalley. We got 1. So Morgan drops off. We'll go back reverse. Now we got Robert Kaplan. We got 3. And Yvonne Castillo. Wait, was there a 4th? Sorry. Okay, 4. 4 for Robert Kaplan. Yvonne Castillo. 5. So Yvonne gets seat number 2. All right, we're almost done here. Seat number 1, the 1-year term. Nominations, please.
Mr. Kaplan.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right. All right, Lauren?
Carolyn Gecker. I appreciated their emphasis on sort of taking in things from a lot of different perspectives and synthesizing it into the best for all parties. And I think that that's an important thing for us to have on our Parks and Rec board.
Good. All right, reverse. Alphabetical. Okay, it's getting late. I'm getting tired, folks. All right, Carolyn Gecker. We got 4, Robert Kaplan. We got 5. So Robert gets seat number 1. All right, thanks for getting through that. That was complicated.
but you did a fabulous job. Next, we'll go through the planning board appointments. We have seat number 7, which is to appoint a member for a 5-year term through March 2030. We have Joe Foley, Ben Holland, Dave Oskamp, who also applied to the Open Space Board of Trustees, and Mason Roberts, who is a current member and has been serving since 2024, Caleb Schmidt, and Carlos Villanueva.
Okay. So we have seat number 7, which is a 5-year term. Nominations? Nicole? It's just planning
Sure,
board.
I'll just do it. I wanted to nominate Mason Roberts.
Other nominations? Lauren?
I just want to do a shout out for Ben Holland. His application was really amazing, and I hope that they will reapply next year. It's really a shame that we can only appoint one person. There were other great applicants too, but yeah.
Fair.
Mayor,
Yes.
quick call. I was going to say the same thing, so I just want to make that clear. Yeah, Ben is super strong, and just wanted to endorse that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to let Nicole speak to her nomination, but
Also, in the good spirit I want to lift up Hernan as well. Again, I feel so strongly that we need stronger chops on environment on our planning board specifically, and I'm hopeful that they will reapply. But I support the nomination of Mason, and I look forward to the rationale that Nicole will provide.
all right, you got to sell it here, Nicole.
Thanks, guys. Mason is someone, this is his 3rd time applying for a 5-year term or applying for this board, right? And he's served on this board this last year. I think there's so much knowledge to be picked up and gained. And he was willing to do that for a year. And he's picked up a lot of knowledge, and he's sort of now, off and running. And I think that just kind of maintaining that there is a helpful thing. So I'm excited to nominate him for a 5-year term and potentially see that go through.
Very good. All those in favor of Mason Roberts? That's unanimous. All right. Mason gets seat number 7.
All right, thank you. Next, we will go over the Transportation Advisory Board nominations and seats. Seat number 4 is to appoint a member to the unexpired 4-year term through March 2029. And seat 5 is to appoint a member for a 5-year term through March 2030. We have several applicants here as well. We'll start with Norman Anderson, Andrew Brandt, Edwin Clark Silva, Lansing Crane, Lillian Hoods, Aston Norton, Michael DeSasima, Rabia Kasim, J.P. Stevens, Hernan Vallanella, and Samantha White.
Thanks for that. Let's start with seat number 5 for the 5-year term. Nominations. I saw Ryan over here.
I'd like to nominate Michael Ledesma.
Other nominations? Yes, Mark?
I'd like to nominate Hernan Villanueva.
Any others? Not seeing any, so speak to it.
When Michael, a U.S. EPA attorney, applied for TAB last time, it was excruciating not to appoint him then. Since then, he's come to every transportation safe streets event that I think I have been at, talking to community members and being an incredible advocate. And he's got a ton of hobby projects to just try to make our city better. Mostly, he's doing very quietly, and we'd be lucky to have him.
Okay. You speak. Mike?
There's not much more to say. We've already talked about Hernan and his qualities and how good he is, and I think he would do the same job here as he would have done on any of the other boards had we selected him. And I think he's a quality individual, extremely bright, and will serve us well if he gets one of these 2 seats.
Very good. All right, alphabetical?
Reverse.
Reverse. Dang it, I thought I was keeping track. So we're going to start with Hernan Villanueva. All those in favor? We got 1. Michael Ledesma. That's 8. So seat number 5 goes to Michael. So let's go to seat number 4, which is a 4-year term. Nominations?
Guess who?
Hernan.
Hernan
Okay. Tina.
Norman Anderson.
I'd like to nominate Aston Horton.
Any others? Well, like I was saying before, I generally stay out of the nominations since I'm facilitating the meeting, but I did want to get Lillian Hoods into the mix, so I'll nominate Lillian. All right, you've already spoken, so Norman.
Yeah, and so when I'm thinking about the Transportation Advisory Board and the work they do, which is often reflecting on a project and how people move around it, and I know the only qualification or requirement we have is a gender balance with our boards, which I disagree with. I do think as our population increasingly becomes qualifying as senior citizens, their transportation needs are unique and very specific to who they are. And I think so I hate to bring up someone's age in this way, but I would like to see someone on tab who can help look at projects from the vantage point of someone who is growing older and who has needs that someone who is younger may not notice or point out. So that's why I'm nominating Norma Anderson.
Great. Right.
This pool has a lot of different highly qualified people in different ways. So I go again to what are the most important problems that we are trying to solve right now. Our transit system, we're going to do an update with the county this year. We're going to start the process of an update. We have a number of important issues to try to work through our transit system that we have, that is, I would say, not as far along as many of the other transportation issues. Aston is a technical regional transportation person who's done modeling, and I think he won an award for his work in this space. So I think just from a practical standpoint, he will help us with a real problem that we have.
Thanks. I need to speak to mine, but
Can I speak to Hernan, or you already spoke?
let me speak to the last nomination here of Lillian Hoods. I nominated Lillian. She has a young family, which I think are people who have unique transportation needs in our city, and also appreciated her knowledge about transit and her devotion to taking transit where possible, and just thought she had an excellent way of thinking about transportation in our city that the board could benefit from. So I'll call on you, Tara, for any other comments.
I did really like Lillian, but I also like Hernan because not only is he everything we all said he was, but he also has kids, he has family. I think it would be good to have different demographics. What is the word you all are using tonight?
That works.
And so I think it would be a great candidate for transportation.
We got great choices here. All right, alphabetical order. All in favor of Norman Anderson? We got one. Lillian Hoods? We got one. Aston Horton? We got 1, 2, 3. And Hernan Villanueva? We got 4. Okay, so we got 2 with 1, so we drop them both? Yeah. So now going in reverse alphabetical order. Hernan Villanueva. Hernan? Yeah. Okay, that's 5. That's 5. But Aston Horton. Okay, that was 3. And we have somebody has abstained. Okay, so Hernan gets seat number 4. Awesome. And thanks to everybody else who applied.
All right, next we'll move on to the University Hill Commercial Area Management Commission. We have one seat available here for appointment, and that is seat 5, to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030. And we have one applicant, that is Dane Anderson.
Okay, so we got seat number 5, a 5-year term, one applicant. Any nominations? Yes, Lauren?
I appreciated this applicant and their interest in balancing sort of the changes in what it takes to be a college town and people who are not college students living in the area.
Great. All those in favor of Dane Anderson? That's unanimous. Dane gets seat number 5. All right, almost there, folks.
Yes, sir. Last board to review on this first round is our Water Resources Advisory Board. We have 2 seats open on this board. Seat number 3 is to appoint a member to an unexpired 3-year term through March 2028. And seat 5 is to appoint a member to a 5-year term through March 2030. We have 2 applicants. We have Catherine Halama and Joel Smith.
All right, let's start with seat number 5, the 5-year term. Nominations. Tara.
I nominate Joel Smith.
Good. Any others? Yes, Nicole.
I nominate Catherine Halama.
Speak to it.
He had an excellent interview, and he's a professional, and he's a great person.
Very good.
And I thought Catherine's background in the acequias and just thinking about how to address water issues in really dry places was really interesting and unique. And again, just always appreciate when CU students, undergrads or graduate students, are willing to get involved and serve in the city.
Excellent. Lauren?
I'm really excited that we get to appoint both of them because they were both so extremely qualified, and I'm glad that they both applied.
I agree with that statement. Which order are we in?
Alphabetical.
All right, all those in favor of Catherine Halama? We got 4, Joel Smith. 5, so that's Joel Smith for seat number 5, the 5-year term. Now, seat number 3, the 3-year term. Would somebody like to make a nomination? Nicole?
I'm going to nominate Catherine.
Shocking. All right. All those in favor of Catherine? Okay, that's unanimous. Well, we would be done, but since we selected Hernan for transportation, we get to go back to EAB.
Yes, sir, and we would need to look at the applicants to fill his seat, which is seat number 1.
And this is a 1-year term.
Yes.
And so Adam Winston was appointed to the 5-year term, and so now we can consider all the rest of the candidates for the 1-year term. Do we have procedural questions or nomination? Okay, let's go to nominations.
I'm going to nominate Tina Mew.
All right, any other nominations? Ryan?
I'd like to nominate Daniel Howard.
Any others? Nicole?
I'd like to nominate Hannah Oltman.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Okay, we've spoken about all these individuals before, so I don't know that we need to add in more words. They're all very capable individuals. What's our order?
I got to check now. I thought you had.
It's not just me.
We're going reverse.
Reverse, okay. Hannah Oltman. We got 5. Tina Mew. That's 4. All right, Daniel Howard, there's nobody left. So Hannah Oltman gets seat number 1, I believe it was?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our selection process. So now we just need some motion language, and I see John is on it.
All right. We wanted to see if staff had any questions, but we also wanted to give an extended thank you to council for going through the process and reviewing all the interviews. And we want to thank our comms and engagement partners, Deanna and Damian, for all their help on the website and the interviews and getting those set up. And also our boards and commission staff liaisons and secretaries. They were extremely critical in this year's recruitment. All right, if staff has no more questions, John, the motion language should be the next slide.
Yes, and as we go to John, we also, I think, need to call John out in particular as well for the extraordinary work on getting all this organized.
I know you know, so I'm glad
Right.
council brought that up.
Yeah, and all those people that you thanked is an enormous effort to get all this done. So just so grateful to everybody who made it happen. Taisha, you had your hand up? How about we get a motion on the table and then we can speak to the motion on the table.
Happy to put a motion to approve the 2025 boards and commissions appointments as noted.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Taish, would you like to speak to your motion?
Well, thank you very much. This is really robust. I didn't want to steal. Is that what people do with this thing? I wanted to just make my comments. So, but again, I just want to thank. Even this is my second year doing this process, and there was improvements in the process, and I'm just really grateful for that. Really strong applications. I was also really grateful, and really strong administration of the process. And yeah, so that's why I make that. Any co-signers on that? Or I don't want to. Still, if you had something, 100%. Especially from our boards and commissions people, would love to share the air.
Yeah. Did you have your hand raised?
I do have a quick question. All the people that said they wanted us to do stuff, I didn't write that down. So does anybody know what that list is?
Wait,
the
list of what?
boards and commissions subcommittee.
Oh. Is somebody tracking the recommendations and things that have been discussed?
You can go back and listen to the whole tape.
Great. Okay, well, I'm just going to say that I wouldn't mind an email reminding me what it is you would like us to accomplish. What do you think, Lauren? Do you agree?
I agree. I also feel like we should break our rules and like maybe do like a round of like applause for all the staff effort that goes into doing this.
A real round. And I do have one more thing to say, Aaron, and that is, I don't know if anybody's listening, but the interviews, which I actually listened to a lot of them twice, believe it, were so incredible. We had so many great applicants, and I'm hoping that you all, do we have any openings that they can apply for? Either apply for some of the openings that we have still, or please come back next year.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, Boulder Junction and Cannabis Licensing Advisory Board, Human Relations. I think there are a couple others. Yeah.
I do have a question for council. You elected to keep the Human Relations Commission's boards open or extend that recruitment by vote. Do you have a time period in which you want us to open that up, or are we going to leave that up to the boards and commissions subcommittee?
I can leave it up to you all.
I'm good with that.
We'll look to the subcommittee for that.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Does anybody else have anything to say? Okay.
Microphone.
Is this the point where we can address comments from open comment?
Not quite. We'll get there in a minute. Yep.
Just so it makes the list for our highly capable representatives on boards and commissions. It's been discussed in the past, but I would be remiss not to mention again. I'd love for us to look at how we trim down some of our boards and commissions. I think we're a little heavy and a little we're a little got a little extra. So if there's ways to either get rid of some that are really not serving a deep function or consolidate others into each other, I think we could do ourselves a cumulative benefit by trimming it down a little bit. So I'd love to see some recommendations on how and which ones we do that with.
I think Tara requested an email.
I actually would request a survey. That would be my preference.
We can resend an assessment that was done in 2023, and we can pick that up again.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got a motion to confirm the appointments. Should we do a roll call, Elisha? Roll call.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll start the roll call for the 2023 boards and commission appointments as noted with Councilmember Weiner.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Mayor Brockett.
Yes.
Councilmember Folkerts.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Folkerts. Councilmember Marquis.
Yes.
Shuhard.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
And Wallach.
Yes.
The boards and commission appointments are hereby approved unanimously. And thank you again, John, for all the work.
Absolutely. And just another huge thank you to everyone who took the time to apply. We really appreciate your devotion to our community and willingness to serve. And really looking forward to the service of the new board members and also to those who were not selected. Please strongly consider applying again next year in the future because there were so many qualified applicants that we weren't able to select tonight. So thanks again to everyone who participated in the process. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. So now if you did want to address anything else, Mark, this would be an opportunity.
Thank you, and I beg your indulgence for a couple of minutes,
Okay, 2 minutes.
in advance. I'm addressing the people who are here tonight and disrupting the meeting. For those of you who call Tara and myself, both of us Jewish, Nazis, does nothing more than disgrace yourselves. You clearly do not understand history and are woefully ignorant about Nazis and Nazism. Your basic complaint is that we will not do what you demand we do with respect to events in the Middle East. We've discussed and debated this. We have voted upon it. It's perfectly reasonable for you to dispute our decision. It is reasonable for you to come here and advocate for us to change it. What is not reasonable, and where your conduct is closer to that of petulant children than to adults who disagree with us, is to curse at us, insult us, and disrupt our meetings. Lastly, if you think that calling us the most offensive names that it is possible to call a person of the Jewish faith will deter either Tara or myself, then you don't know Tara, and you sure as hell don't know me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other? Yes, Ryan and then Taisha.
Separate topic. We had a member of the Boulder Housing Advisory Board visit us, Stephen Hennessy, and what Stephen said was music to my ears, which is that the board plans, they have told us they plan to come see us quarterly with a correspondence, some kind of an update. And I personally have been scratching my head over the last year to think about how can we as a council just do work to better synchronize what we're doing with boards. And it's never come to the level of this is the top priority for us to come together in a council meeting and figure out, so it hasn't happened. But I really like the idea, the initiative of the board of housing to say they're just going to come to us and speak to us quarterly. And I would remind others that opportunity is available to other boards and also the public. And so this is just me, Ryan, speaking. I'm not representing the whole council, but just to say that I was glad to hear that initiative. I think it was a really creative way to create more interaction with us, and I look forward to it.
Thanks for that, Ryan. Yeah, Tara.
100%. I agree with you. It's not just Ryan. It's Ryan and Tara.
Okay. Point taken. Taisha?
I want to echo the boards and commissions conversations just in general and just the need for us to revisit that wholesale. I appreciate the efforts of staff. However, I'm concerned with the pace and would love to get to figure out how to strategize to prioritize some of those components so that we can make sure that these boards and commissions are going to be meaningful for all parties involved. I also wanted to thank those who participated in the council chat around food security and just wanted to share. I look forward to our fellow council members receiving information about the conversations that we had. But there were a couple of things that I just wanted to bring up from that conversation, particularly around charity versus justice. And it was a theme that came up several times, and moving away from just the concept of food being something that is charity and not right. And so I really appreciated that. And I also thought it was interesting that they brought up transportation as another barrier to food access in our community. And again, people think City of Boulder, what do you mean people, have transportation issues to access food? And that is something that is absolutely happening in our community. So I just really appreciated that time and opportunity, and I look forward to the meeting notes. So I just wanted to lift that up. And then lastly, in response to the comments, obviously I don't support name calling of any kind. However, I do want to just remind folks that, public comment is for anything that we have the authority to take action on. And you're absolutely right. If we decide not to do that, community has every right to come and challenge us on that again and again and again. We do have the authority to do a ceasefire. We do have the authority to limit investments on national defense for weapons for national defense, and we have chosen not to do that, and there are consequences for that. I also just want to lift up, everybody loves to bring up Martin Luther King, but this is what civil disobedience looks like. So please don't put his name in your mouth if you don't understand that this is what it looks like when people don't feel heard and don't feel represented. I know I've passed my time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Taisha. Yes, Tina?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for all your comments, and I just wanted to appreciate staff tonight for the way that they handled tonight's disruption. You could see just what the community doesn't understand is we go back into the kitchen and staff is out dealing with each person personally when they're at this moment of a lot of passion and a lot of emotion. And so are the security people who are here. And I appreciate each one of you for the way you're interacting with our public in a way that's really providing my safety, providing the safety of the people who come here for open comment, and who are trying to maintain open comment. So each of you was in a difficult position tonight, and I appreciate the way you each stood up for us and for me personally. Thank you.
That was very well said, Tina, and I will certainly echo those comments. I think the disruptions are very unfortunate. I respect everyone's ability to make their opinions heard, but the screaming, the yelling, the name calling, the disruptive behavior is, there's no good reason for that, and prevents us from getting the work of the work of the city done, or at least slows it way down. So echo your thanks to city staff for doing such an able job in managing this extremely difficult problem.
Thank you so much. Just appreciate those comments, and certainly thanks to staff who do a tremendous job at all levels, and those that are here and those that are not here who have been helping, not just here, but downstairs as well. Just a quick note on boards and commissions. Excited that you're excited to pick that up again. We will not just send out that initial assessment, but it actually is scheduled to come before you. I believe it's May 1st, and so we'll be having that conversation very soon.
Good to hear. All right, well, that brings us to the very end. So thanks everybody for a productive meeting, and I will close this out here at 9:23 p.m. Take care and have a good night.